and welcome to the Exposé premiere! Yay! I can hide how what does it mean for me to do this premiere, and I'm very emotional because I'm so happy that we are able to deliver this energetical product as a movie of 88 people from 6 continents, and that all the god of technology help us to connect the internet and the people with the social media. Woohoo! Yeah, give applause for that. And I want to thank all of you who I may know or might not know. My name is Anastasia, and I'm the creator of Exposé documentary. And please help me to give a big shout out to the one of the co-hosts, Grace Skofgard.
Thank you, Anna. Welcome, everyone. I'm Grace Skofgard, and I am your co-host for Anastasia Kaikowska's premiere for documentary film Exposé. It's here. It's finally here. And all of the collective resilience from everyone on this project has brought this project here. I want to start by really soaking in right now how remarkable it is in this moment, having everyone from all over the world here right now. We are here to watch a documentary, but we're also here to be together. And I really want to soak in that people from 6 different continents, many countries, are all together in space and this time to see and especially to hear various stories, various expositions of harmful relationships and abuse, which is happening too much globally. Meeting here right now with each other, there is something extra connected about it. Now, I have a soft surprise for Anna to tie in connection. And the meaning behind it, by this candle, is that I picked it up in California last year when I flew down to LA to host the initial premiere in person for Anna. Anna had been lighting candles along the way. Those days leading up to the premiere, I had brought her one from Vancouver, and I wanted to take one home that would remind me of her. And I light this candle when I need her presence near, and for what we will be watching, especially how close this hits to home. And now that I'm hosting her premiere from home, I'm going to need her extra presence here. So while I light my candle, I invite you to do the same or to bring something in this space that gives you what you need. And while you do that, I'm going to read a part of my speech from the first premiere, from the very paper. I had read it from there because it was my direct message to the participants who bravely lent their voices in telling their stories. And after last year's interruption, I want to make sure these words reach them. Welcome everyone from all over the globe, those here in person and those here online. Right now, we are here to honor warriors who survived abusive relationships. Right now, we expose the harsh reality of this experience that affects far too many individuals. And right now, we celebrate the courageous thrivers who push through their pain to live their best lives. Exposé is a 12-part series, it's 15 now, and sheds light on the experiences of those who have undergone unimaginable hardships and who have emerged victorious, inspiring us all with their resilience and their strength. These survivors are true warriors of society, and I'm absolutely honored to be here in person for the premiere of this very first film. I am here getting to witness live the stories these brave individuals share. If others in the past, around the world, had not been brave enough to share their stories, I would not have been able to journey here. And I'm very much looking forward to the show as well as the focus group afterward. I also have one more item I'm bringing into this space, and the story behind it is that when I finally got to meet Anna in person, I realized just how tall she is. She is so tall. I play basketball, so I definitely asked her if she did, and she does. And there was a basketball court just down the road, but we had no ball. So I rush ordered a couple on Amazon right before the premiere. And after it, the attempted premiere and everything we went through, we signed them. We signed each other's basketball. And Anna wrote to me, "Shine brightly." And I think that message goes along well with my candle. I also love how the basketball looks like a globe. And when I think of our documentary, I think of how she tells me to shine brightly and how through her work she's helped me do just that. I have no doubt that Anna's work will help others shine brightly too, or to find their light again. And Anna, I have such great gratitude for you for all the work you've done, illuminating the patterns clear as a fog around relationship violence and ourselves and our children and others. We will be able to sidestep harm with the information from your work. But if relationship abuse reaches us again, for them, they have and we have one magnificent resource in your work to guide us through. Now, guiding you through the next half of hosting, I want to introduce someone who has worked tirelessly as well to help others clear the fog. That's Crystal Bay.
Of course, I was muted. So thank you so much for that, Grace. I was there last year, not physically, but I witnessed the undermine of all of our hard work, because we had all worked together to build this premiere, and to see what happened was absolutely devastating. Here's this beautiful woman, Anastasia, who gave so many of us our power back, gave us a voice when no one else would. To see somebody undermine that hard work and love and devotion, just, it lit a fire in me. So while Anna took the last year to heal and grow, I took that year and grew and kept the Exposé flame going in Facebook and on LinkedIn, and grew. I was as Crystal Phoenix myself, which is what I was inspired to become by joining in Exposé. So it was this past May, Narcissistic Awareness Day, and I decided to do a panel, and I called Anna saying, "Hey, I want you on my live panel," thinking she'd say no. She said yes, and then told me that it was edited, it was ready to go, but she wanted to get people fired up for it again. So I did what I do. I said, "All right, guys, hold my beer," metaphorically speaking. I got your back. So I went on LinkedIn and I went on my YouTube and I put together a group, and we started doing audio rooms and getting people fired up for it again. And that's what led us here. And I felt that I had to give Anna her power back, because she gave me mine when I had first gotten out and I was still in the fake it to make it stage of healing. I was putting a brave front that I was healed, but the one thing that always stuck out to me when I spoke to Anna the first time about doing my portion was my why. If my sharing my story helps one person to heal, to get hope, or to get safe, the hell I went through was worth it. And in saying those words, I did. I felt like I had my power back. I had my voice. And I was determined to give that back to Anna. And within 2 weeks of us working together, she looked at me and said, I'm ready to do the audio events myself, to host, to take back over. And I was so excited and so happy that I was able to give her what she had given me and so many others. And this has been 4 years in the making. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm so excited to see all of Anna's hard work and dedication put together so lovingly over the next 90 minutes. So I think we are about ready to and show the premiere. What about you guys? So without further ado, please enjoy Exposé, documentary about thriving after narcissistic relationships. 88 of us donated and got our voices back. So let's see it.
Enjoy.
Anna, we can't hear it, honey.
But this is a story of so many of us. Okay. Can you hear now?
Sex would follow.
What about now? This is not only a story of those 88 people, but this is a story of so many of us. My name is Anastasia Gajkowska, and when I left my abusive relationship, I wanted to create a movie, a film, a documentary where I interview not only survivors, but thrivers. I mean, people who left abusive relationships and they're really thriving now. I flew to Hollywood to learn the art of making films. I asked 8 questions. This documentary is a sample of combined stories. I use my laptop camera, my phone camera. Many recordings you will see in this documentary were filmed by survivors in their own home. All our participants decided to share their story voluntarily. 88 stories, one soul, one voice, one calling for the whole humanity. I really believed that I would be saved by a Prince Charming.
If they really did love you, well, what is love?
When people use this word love so carelessly, and what does it really mean, right? And what it is, so how it feels.
Love is reciprocal. You've sacrificed so much over this period of time to be with them, to tolerate this abusive behavior. And if they sacrificially loved you, well, they would go get help to stop hurting you.
My definition of abuse is someone that does not want to feel what they're feeling. So let's say I don't like a feeling I have, and I'm trying to give it to you because I don't want to feel it anymore. I don't want to think it anymore. I don't want to experience it anymore. So I'm going to try to give it to you. And if you take it, you know, you're now being abused by me. That's one form of abuse.
Domestic violence is not just about abuse. It's verbal, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's financial, it's sexual.
I thought that love means not speaking up what I really think and keeping the peace, no matter what.
We are survivors who want to change things for other survivors, because what happened to us cannot just be allowed to keep happening.
Like, I didn't know what love is. I didn't know what being loved and being connected is.
Saying that a woman really didn't know her place unless a man was telling her what to do. If the woman didn't do what was told, then she got hurt.
It was often the woman was financially dependent on the man. He had the say. He told her what to do, how to cook, what to cook, all these things.
I was very much a people pleaser. I wanted everyone to be happy.
I was just people pleasing too much, you know, to the point where it was like, I thought that, you know, they have all these sayings like happy wife, happy life. And now I have a new saying. It's happy spouse, happy house.
So you please love me back as you say you do and as you are supposed to.
I thought that I was being a good child every time I said yes. Anytime that somebody had uttered, I love you, usually sex would follow, or they would say it during, or I love what it is you're doing. Oh, okay, well, they must love me. Chaos was my norm.
I thought very young, to be loved, I had to be kind and sweet and submissive. You know, me as a person, I'm a million different people. You know, I had been a million different people because the one that I was ignoring was the real authentic self.
I didn't know was what an abusive relationship was. And that's how I ended up in one.
My dad was a pastor. My parents had very high standards.
Kobieta nie ma racji. Te kobiety mniej znaczą. Tym mniej potrafią. Agresja w mężczyźnie jest okej.
So my idea of love was that love was a sacrifice. I didn't understand what a real relationship could be like, and I thought this is normal.
No one wants to be with someone who treats you nicely because that's just annoying.
And I was not taught to do things because I wanted them. I was taught to do things because it was right. And even in my diary, I have things like, I'm going to marry this man because he will keep me in line. I don't know what I need. I don't know what's right. And I'm going to follow someone else's guidance.
I see this pattern. Oh, I've spent my entire life doing above and beyond for the sole purpose that the person who's supposed to love me regardless, that person would.
I just thought that it was all flowers, hugs and kisses, and just wanted to feel wanted and loved at the same time.
All I knew is that I was seeking someone to love, be loved.
I didn't know how to operate outside of chaos and still having someone tell me they love me.
Men leave. I feel like every man in my life has left me for one reason or another. I felt like men were always in control, to live in fear, to always try to keep the peace so that the yelling and the abuse didn't happen, not to make men mad, that it wasn't okay to dream. I learned when you make mistakes, you get punished.
So my parents were divorced when I was 6 years old. I think it taught me at that moment to not trust men.
Love is often, I think, misunderstood. Tough love, pain and suffering and abuse.
And even my own father told me I would never amount to anything. He said he would be better off if I was never born.
Love is very romantic fairy tales, beautiful stories.
I didn't know that I was being abused by my abuser because I grew up being abused. So when I met my abuser, it was just another day.
Promises are strong bonds that must not be broken. That fighting and screaming was okay.
I used to think screaming is okay because my parents used to yell at each other and my mom yelled at me all the time.
De que uno tiene que ser virgen hasta que se case. Pues es el único que debe de tener, no importa el comportamiento. Era un normal, ¿no? De que el hombre fuera infiel, que la mujer pues quería hablar y era algo que se tenía que callar, dando todo el control
de persona que yo tenía.
Love was expressed in a material way. Love and relationship were not organically connected for me.
I was molested when I was a child.
I drowned when I was very young and had a near-death experience from that. I was sexually, physically, and emotionally abused, sexually abused by 5 different people.
I told myself that I was a bad seed.
Like, who would even want to date you? Like, you're not even really a girl, or you're not a real man, or you're not whatever. And it's like, wow.
I was sort of like my mother's therapist at a very young age, and there weren't really a lot of boundaries.
I was always made, responsible for my parents, and especially my mother's emotional stability and well-being.
Men treated me the ways that they treated her. I was made to give them hugs, to give them affection.
My parents were quite cold, though, towards me, so I never really felt loved.
Love was conditional. With my mother, she would not protect me when my father was abusive to me. I was also treated like I didn't have a voice, like I was invisible.
I learned since I was a little kid to silence my voice.
I was never really attached to anyone. Like, I didn't open my heart to anyone. And it took me a long time to let people in.
I always felt like there was something wrong with me.
I started to develop this perfectionism.
I was so loyal and I never gave up even when it was abusive, because I learned that you stay with the person that you love and that you're with.
Marriage covenant is forever, no matter what. Like, you just stick through it, you make it work, you pray a little bit harder, and you pretend things may or may not have happened.
A lot of abuse, and actually was nearly like, that's okay, like that's normal.
So that's kind of like worries me. Like, what if I'm not like really submissive to a man because I have my own thoughts.
For me, it was natural to ask him permission.
I used to be proud of being a nice person, but now I think being a nice person got me abused.
I'm a battered child, and my mom was a battered wife, and and dad was alcoholic.
I vowed to myself that I would never, if I ever had children, would never want them to witness what I witnessed.
Biological father who was extremely physically abusive towards my mom.
And he looked over to me and said, "She'll never leave me. I've got her wrapped around my little finger."
When I was 6 years old, he almost killed my mom. He knocked out her eye. She had a glass eye, and he ended up in prison for 10 years.
It was like my motto. A woman takes shit from man because they're together up until the point where you want to kill yourself.
I was raised in a very dysfunctional childhood household. Very was neglected. There was every kind of abuse and etc. And all of that went on. But that left me feeling very unworthy, unwanted, and that was the perfect storm for me to meet these guys that would say, "I'll be there for you, I'll be everything for you," and all that. This is where it went wrong, because I didn't feel right in myself.
I also crave unconsciously attention and validation from that kind of men that I really shouldn't be wanting to deal with at all.
That becomes normal. That becomes part of who you are, and can set people up for entering into abusive relationships, staying to try to fix it, and then not realizing the patterns.
And so I kept looking in relationships to heal my father via them so that they would love me, so that little girl in me would be loved.
And this was, the kind of the grooming that I learned as a child, that if I told everything, that the punishment would be less. There was still a punishment, and it wasn't often very nice. And that, but the goodness of the confession would help to limit it, and then it wouldn't be as bad.
Anytime I would, try to go to like my mom and say like, "Hey, like I'm having this problem with this person at school, like whatever," she would be like, "Well, what did you do?" She'd be like, "Well, like how did you cause that to happen? Like that you're like, maybe if you acted less, whatever, or like she would always take the other person's side, even if she didn't have a connection to that person. And I always thought this was very weird.
We are taught to love all.
He promised me to give me a castle and a pony. I really wanted to plant a garden with him.
I was able to tell her a couple things that I wanted. She proceeded to completely go on with like a love bombing stage. Everything that I said that I was wanting, she was literally becoming.
I was attracted to him instantly. We used to always go on nights out and he'd never let me spend a penny. And I've never had that before. I've never had a guy that's done that to me. So I felt really good.
You're the love of my life. And it was a very, it was that very quick, like bonded, there was like, I love yous very quickly in the relationship. If I was the queen of his world, so it made me feel special. I finally felt special, and I didn't look at it as being anything else but this person really loves me.
Very romantic, very attentive in listening. He wanted to know me and was fascinated by me. So I was kind of, I don't think I've ever had that attention before. You know, I hadn't had male attention ever. And this man, you know, was coming with, you know, literally the white horse. He was anything that I wanted. And I can remember him saying now, it's like, what do you want?
He gave me a lot of attention, and I really loved that, obviously, because of my childhood.
He was handsome. He was my type. Like, we were soulmates. I can remember telling people, gosh, it's crazy. We don't fight. We agree upon everything. He's always there. He's always around.
They learn to say the things that you want to hear and to tell you all the right things, that they love the things that you love, and you're just the best thing, and you're so beautiful and important.
He pretended that he liked the same things that I did.
I make you feel like you're the most special person in the world. I mean, he was telling me I was the most beautiful woman he had ever met.
The sex was really, really good. She even smelled like something that would take me back to maybe when I was born.
I was initially attracted to her beauty.
He used to run marathons. He used to do boxing. And, you know, to top it up, he was handsome.
I started dating older women, like a lot older women, and I think they almost mimicked my mom. And so I started dating people that I wanted validation and like love that I seeked, that I never got from my mom, that I hoped for.
She was willing to take a risk and be in a relationship with me, which was an attraction because not very many people were willing to date me. So I was really attracted.
Was that someone actually cared about me, paid attention to me. I felt as if I had a voice.
I was attracted to people who were very powerful and in control. He was young and really good looking, athletic, and he was very sweet and very shy.
What attracted me was just this beautiful smile and ease of being with, along with the charisma and charm.
And I think I'm a little bit shy also.
He presented himself as a father.
Wow, this guy's incredible. The first date, he put all this jewelry on the counter, and he told me, he goes, well, pick something, pick a necklace, you know, pick whatever you want. So I'm looking, and I picked this beautiful necklace, and he goes, well, it's a surprise, it's all for you. And so he just swept me off my feet.
I think that it was because he paid attention to me.
I was stripping and prostituting, and he kept frequently coming to place of establishment. He also knew some of the friends that I was staying with and hanging out with, and he was giving me attention. He was giving me, remember I told you, he was giving me that attention of, oh, well, this must be love. He must really be interested in me because, you know, he wants to have sex. And not for money.
That was that physical, just very raw attraction that I confused for something else.
Somebody doesn't love you that much, you know. I was put on a pedestal, and why? Why did I think I deserved to be on a pedestal? But I fell for it. I did fall for that.
What got me sucked into these things in the first place is I have a caretaking survival instinct. I will take care of you so you don't hurt me anymore. I don't know my identity in a relationship outside of, if I can't take care of you, what am I worth?
Really feeling like, wow, I just wanted to help this person.
I felt like I could heal him and I could fix him somehow.
Okay, he's got a job in a car.
He sounded like the perfect man.
I could hear my own soul whispering, "Leave him. Leave him now."
There were red flags, red fireworks from the moment I met him.
My red flags came way after leaving this person.
Things started changing. He did not want children. He did not want anything. He was talking with women on the phone, no attention to me at all. He even went and got married behind my back again without me even knowing. And so, and then the final straw came when I went to work. And when I was going home to take a shower to return back to work, he had changed the locks to the door.
We got very close very quickly. I thought it was true love instantly.
What will we name the children? Imagine that, the first time we were together, she asked me about children.
On the very first night, he goes, "I want to marry you. I want to spend my life with you. You're the most beautiful woman I ever met."
A lot of the things that they're telling you and that they're promising you are not true.
He wouldn't let me feed myself. He goes, "No girl of mine feeds herself. I feed you." So he was like feeding me. And I thought, my God, that's sexy. That's incredible. And I got sucked in. He was crying, "Oh, I don't want you to leave." So I never seen that side of a man. He called me every day. He sent me letters every day.
Every minute could be different with him.
Like 1 minute you were the light of their life, and the next minute nothing you do is right. So I didn't even know I was being emotionally abused. I just thought I was in a bad marriage, and I didn't know how to fix it.
I just had a feeling within my gut, you know, when you know that something is wrong and you need to leave.
And right when we got the place, he made sure all the bills were in my name, and then he just quit. And then I was stuck with him for 3.5 years not working, and I was the one that was supporting him.
What I found out is that he has a daughter and he hadn't seen her since she was born.
I found that he belonged to a group that taught men how to drug their girlfriends or their wives and then arrange situations where other men could come over and rape them while the husband or the boyfriend watched. You're incredible.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop it because we are not live on YouTube, as Crystal let me know. So I'm going to just take a 20 seconds of your time to stream it on YouTube. Thank you all. Public. There will be also some audience waiting to connect with the speakers. So I want to make sure everybody get to see your beautiful faces. And done. Okay, so now we should be live on YouTube as well. Okay. We'll do share, and share the sound. Share. Okay.
Done to me. Again, all without my knowledge and all without my consent. I discovered 8 years that from the very moment that we met, he had been doing this. I also discovered there were nights I did not remember.
It was immediate criticisms on everything. You're too loud. You chew too loud.
Like his inability to process his anger.
Son, go to your room. It was always, hey, you need to go play outside, because I knew that something was coming.
when we ended up getting married, the whole him not accepting the word no became a massive issue. And that's actually one of the reasons why he's in prison, because he's in prison for raping me. And essentially that is because he couldn't accept the word no.
So when he proposed, with that spirit and voice inside me was like, no, no, no. And I said yes. I was in the woods alone with him. I didn't know what he would do if I said no. You know, we're by the river. My body could be thrown in the river. Nobody'd find me.
If you can't say no, it's time to go.
That there are moments in life where the most loving choice, the most loving decision is to walk away from a situation.
I was gaslit by a past partner who had cheated on me, and I, being psychic, would have all of these dreams that he had cheated on me. And I literally was tortured by them for 3 years. And every time we would talk about the dream and we would analyze them together, he would always bring it back to, well, you were sexually abused as a child. So that's gaslighting. Instead of him saying, taking responsibility and saying, I know why you're having these dreams, and let me tell you what happened, and I'm so sorry, which he eventually did.
Because he kind of gaslighted me, saying that I've always been perfect. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, because you used to say that I'd be treated better if I was thinner.
I wasn't allowed to eat, by the way. I wasn't allowed to eat my full meal. And he pointed out the dessert. He said, oh, there is a lemon meringue pie. Look at that lemon meringue pie. And I go, wow, lemon meringue pie. And I picked it up and put it in the cart. He went nuts. And this little old lady walks by. She goes, dear, she heard the whole thing. She goes, is that your husband? I go, no. I go, no. She goes, oh, when he becomes your husband, it'll be 100 times worse.
Era también un poco arrogante, pero me fascinaba. Algo de que él comenzó a tener influencia en cómo yo me vestía, a no ponerme los labios colorados, no pintarme los ojos, las uñas. Era medio como comencé yo a hacer menos y no me daba cuenta.
You wear too much makeup. I don't like what you do with your eyes. Don't do that. Don't do that.
My father just looked at me. I was so happy with the way I looked. He said, you look like a whore. And I was like, that didn't feel good.
I thought I looked really good. And he said to me, you look like a whore. And I said to him, that really hurts my feelings. That's not cool. He's like, oh, you're just too sensitive. Like, really, get over it. You can't take a joke. I was kidding. I was completely kidding. If you can't take a joke, what's wrong with you?
In my Facebook comments, like I would post that I was going to go hang out with my friends, and in the comment section, he would be like, oh, you better be good.
He just wanted to establish that, like, I was his.
That I was his territory.
The wanting to move forward very quickly, the wanting to get engaged, the wanting to spend all your time together.
There were women around him. There was messages that I had seen, and just tell me that I was insecure.
It was hurting me in a way that I couldn't understand, because he would then say that he loved me afterwards.
I never felt so consistently hurt by somebody.
Sometimes he may not even be yelling. I can just tell that he's not happy, and I'm afraid that what happened to my mum is going to happen to me.
Sometimes he would just rage, just inches from my face, and tell me all of the horrible things that still wake me up in the middle of the night.
He threw a punch at the side of the refrigerator, and it knocked the refrigerator over. I told myself, we're not going to make this man angry as much as possible.
And I was just trying to calm him down. And I even got to this place when I was apologizing for things I knew had nothing to do with me. It's all about me. And in a way, it's my fault, probably. If I'm going to fix myself and be perfect, things are going to be good. So that's what I've always applied in my relationship.
I don't want to be afraid of someone getting angry.
I would always blame myself. So it's me. I did something wrong. I made him mad. I made him not happy with me.
There was no my life anymore, which at first was exciting, and then it became scary. If I don't show up for this person, their life is at stake.
I think I got very good at quieting my intuition.
Anything I did or said wasn't good enough. I could always improve myself.
Anything that came out of my mouth was, he would say, was stupid. So I became quiet and shy and never spoke.
Telling me that I was stupid or that I was, inept, that I couldn't find my way out of a wet paper bag.
This person doesn't treat other people like they treat me. This person is rude to the waiter.
Am I crazy, or is this guy being really abusive to this waitress?
In my mind, I was like, well, maybe they've had a rough day.
I have recordings of him recording himself, giving me permission to take his car, to take his kids, and to get the fuck out. Just go. You can hear me begging in the background. He stole my shoes. My shoes were gone. I fled my home without shoes.
Just accepted the apology and things were great. There's even flowers as an apology. There is a date night. There is a sliver of the person that you knew before the abuse started that you're like, oh gosh, he's coming back. Like, this is the person I fell in love with. And then the tension starts building and you start walking on the eggshells and it's like, oh God, here we go again.
I felt I had a jealous partner and I thought, oh, it's just because he's passionate. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Jealousy is a massive red flag. And it's a symptom or a sign of control. He'd said to me at one point that if I ever cheated on him, he'd cut me up into pieces and put me in the rubbish bin.
And then, of course, they accusing me of cheating. It's really kind of difficult for a young girl who's 7 months pregnant, no transportation and no money of her own really to do much cheating.
To zazdrość, tak? Zawsze na wszystkich mężczyzn się patrzyłam, zawsze już mi się podobał, już to, już tamto, cały czas takie właśnie wmawianie, czegoś, co w ogóle nie robiłam, tak?
I had found out he was cheating on me with a coworker.
She was pregnant at the same time as me.
He went and slept with his ex-girlfriend to punish me.
So I confronted him about, you're seeing this person, that's it, I'm leaving, it's over. And he got that baseball bat out and he went to, to swing it at me. I don't know how, but it missed. So I'd run to the back of the house. Everything was premeditated. He knew what he was going to do because he had also locked the back door, so I couldn't get out. But I got to the back door. The key wasn't there, and a voice said to me, "The key is above on the ledge." So I this is my angels, whatever, protecting me. I grabbed the key and I got out, and I started screaming for the neighbours to help, because I had neighbours at both sides. That scared him, and he got in the car. He took our daughter, she was 4 years old at the time, and he left. The next morning, he was at my bedside crying and just seemingly super remorseful and saying just how horrible he felt that I witnessed that, and that he was just really overwhelmed by his love for me, that he'd never felt this way before, and that it's just different with me, and he just doesn't know how to deal with all of this love and emotions that he has for me. Maybe he just needs to get through this and feel more assured, for my love for him.
Maybe it was just a one-time thing though. Obviously in 8.5 years, I did learn that is not the case.
When he was having a rage, I would always say to him, I see your heart. I see you. And I was thinking I was seeing you as the person that you've just described, that person that I met. But actually, the person that he was showing me was him.
I started becoming a lot more isolated from my friends and stuff.
My friends were gone.
And they were like, you need to just finish it. You need to just get rid of him.
So I didn't have people to talk to. I was also told who my friends should be.
How I couldn't speak to anyone else. I couldn't be near anybody else. And it became a very, codependent relationship. And then it was the next step of the instant angry and then, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
A ninguna de mis amigas le caían bien.
My family saw this before me.
But my friends were making the odd comment. You're a different person. You're not the person that we know. You're not the person that we love.
Why are you still talking to this person? To the point where like I secretly had them in my life.
I pretended it wasn't happening. I pretended that everything was all right. And yes, I've got the perfect partner. No, he treats me so well, and forgot and pushed aside. Punch was getting pushed towards me. I pushed that aside. No, that's not happening. We've got the perfect relationship.
That's why some of my healthier friends were so confused by me. They were like, why don't you leave? You know, the first marriage and the second marriage and now this partnership. It's like they could not understand it because they did not have the trauma that I had. And I was operating out of trauma.
He was extremely abusive to all 4 children. Extremely, verbally, physically, psychologically, emotionally abusive, as well as sexually abusive. And I would start to see little signs in my children besides the norm of fear, of crying. But one of the biggest red flags was when I found blood in one of my children's underpants.
We're in denial. We don't no longer trust our instincts. We no longer trust the way we feel. The narcissist has convinced us that if our friends talk to us that way, we need to cut them out of our lives because they're jealous of our relationship or they're trying to get in between us. And so now I push my friends away.
And what they do is they try to alienate you. They try and separate you from your friends and your family so that they have ultimate control.
He used to give me the silent treatment even more when I was pregnant.
He would hide behind having ADHD as a way to forget, but then the stories were constantly changing.
He also had a brain injury when he was 16. He would use his brain injury as a scapegoat. He could be yelling at me, calling me names, and he could get on the phone with someone and be totally calm.
The personality of that person changed from the person that I fell in love with to the person that he was becoming.
Like, he's drunk, he's this, he's that. That's not him. That's not who he is. It's the alcohol. Like, he got caught prostituting and tried to lie to me about it. And his response was, well, I got caught and nothing happens.
He used to take all of our money and spend it on drugs.
He always had 2 phones.
He told me he didn't have a house phone, and I believed him because I believe people, because I'm not going to lie to you. So I believed him. And one day while I was on the phone with him, I heard a house phone ring.
There's a phone ringing. He will get the phone and run outside to talk outside there, far away from you.
If you're in a relationship that makes you constantly wonder, is he lying to me?
It was like he would say, tell me good things about me.
He was not letting me do things that I used to do, like the things I love.
Why is he hurting me all the time? Why, is there only once every 3 months us being happy?
What is the basis of the problem? If I could identify that, I could fix it.
And I suggested counseling, and he said, something's wrong with you. You're the one who has the problem, not me. He would tell me things like, you'll never leave me. We made you what you are today. If it wasn't for me and my mother, you wouldn't be where you are. So don't even think about leaving.
So he would tell me how I feel. And he started brainwashing me like, well, you feel this way. I can feel it. And I'm like, no. Oh, you're just disconnected from your emotions. Like, I can feel it. Like, you're angry. And he would like create this situation. And then he was just so spiritual. And he was using all this stuff in a very dark way to manipulate me too. And, I knew it wasn't true, but he was so convincing that I did lose it, with him too, like believing a lot of stuff because I didn't want to just discredit it, and I wouldn't manipulate him like that. So it even didn't occur to me somebody would manipulate you this way. That's so dark. How can you do this to another person? And
I wasn't seeing things as red flags and recognizing them. And unfortunately, that person took full advantage of my inability to see this or my ability to appease it. And when I knew he was somebody that was in my life, he was also somebody that had status above me. Within the military, he had higher rank than I did. And I didn't put him in that position. So I trusted him.
you're ugly, you're disgusting, you're fat, no one is ever going to want you, all of this psychological abuse. And when you're feeling already low about yourself, that stuff goes in.
I was going to be getting plastic surgery to like change my face.
They'll pick the worst thing to get at you psychologically.
And he liked to compare me to his ex-wife. So it was always like, I like this about you because my ex never did that.
Definitely emotional abuse where your mind is affected is one of the worst stuff. There's no proof as well. If you have a bruise, someone can say, oh, you've got a bruise on your arm. How come? But if you say, they told me that I'm fat. Do you think I'm fat? No. My ex said that. They say it like 1,000 times. That voice is playing over and over and over.
Like consciously, we don't walk around thinking I'm worthless. We know we're worth something, but we feel worthless.
He kind of grabbed me by my wrist and pulling me aside and saying that I drank too much.
I thought to myself, right, he's done this. It wasn't small. It was something quite big. This is going to happen again. So this is where they say you should get out. This is where they say run away. Because I've been from such a damaged childhood that I just thought, I don't care if he hits me. I don't care. But the saddest thing to say is that I didn't care enough about myself. And I'm sorry enough to say I didn't care enough about my daughter.
He pulled a knife on my son and said it was a joke. First, he yelled at me and said that it didn't happen while it was still happening. While he had the knife in his hand, he said he didn't do what he's doing right in front of me. And then he said it was a joke. Well, why is it important? It's not important. It's just a joke. Like, he would just keep going down those ways. And then that entire week, things got worse and worse and worse and heavier and scarier. Physical intimidation, me finding mass quantities of child porn, court documents from a prior conviction against minors, and dozens to hundreds of other women. I had safe calls set up with my friends throughout the night. I was texting them, I was checking in with them so that if I didn't check in with them, they would call the cops.
And our physical fight didn't last for a very long time. Like, it wasn't hours or anything like that, but it felt like hours.
When we got home, the beating started. He would beat me, like really beat me up. And then he would be acting normal a few minutes later, like, oh, would you like a cup of tea? And I'm like, did I just imagine that? But then I would look at my arms and feel my head, because he would beat me a lot around the head, and I'd put my arms up and I'd see bruises on my arms, and I'd go, no, that just happened. So I thought that I was going crazy. It didn't matter what I did. He found a reason to beat me for some irrelevant thing. I decided in the middle of that I was the one that had the problem.
I couldn't really drink around him, because if I did, he would be like, you're an alcoholic. And I'm like, what?
When he met me, he had done so much background on me that I felt so seen by him, but I didn't understand that he was basically stalking me.
Even when he finally moved out from our shared apartment, he moved in the same building. I even thought he's gonna try to break in and rape me, but he still keeps on coming. He creates like fake accounts on Instagram and Facebook.
He would show up at my daughter's school when I would leave her there and just watch, and he would follow me to work.
He stalked me for 2 years, showing up, banging on my window, climbing over my fence.
He phoned me one time and he said, you know, you better take me back or I will kill you. I will kill you. And I was just so shocked. And he said, I'm an ex-soldier. I have killed people and I will kill you if you don't take me back. And I just went, okay, yeah, I'll give you another chance. And I put the phone down and I didn't tell anybody. I was so ashamed because I was always defending him. I was defending him to my friends and my family, and everybody said he was bad news.
And yeah, he just gives it speech of I'm sorry, I'm never going to do it.
Why are you worrying about this? And don't worry, like, I promise this isn't going to happen again.
Please don't leave me, please don't leave me, I'll change.
I actually broke up with him 9 times.
I tried to leave him, which was over 100 times.
Maybe even 15 times. I always went back.
I had never left.
I understand why people stay.
I just turned the blind eye. I would have to take action.
I technically did not decide to leave. He discarded me.
It's okay if something feels off, because that's your intuition telling you stop. When you allow people to rush you, nothing good comes from that.
What you have to really do with red flags is to own them yourself without justification to anyone as to why it's your red flag.
Today, I looked deep inside his eyes and I saw darkness.
When my baby girl, who's 6 years old, looks at me and says, "Mommy, it's okay if Daddy hurts you as long as he can come home." That is not what I want my child to think. She does not need to think that it's okay for a man to hurt her.
That just slowly gets taken away over time, so slowly that you almost don't even notice it. He had already told me that he was completely comfortable killing me. I did not have any kind of safety or comfort.
Is tonight the night that he kills me?
I was going to work black and blue. It's time to get into an argument. I could die. The last night we got into an argument, he was on top of me. He was choking me. And I didn't think I was going to get out alive because he was choking me so hard.
He threw me on the ground and kicked me in my stomach. I was pregnant. I had to stop myself from smothering him with that pillow.
Y yo me fui a bañar y me estoy bañando toda enjabonada con el champú y él jala la cortina y me pone a puño y me dice, "One more word and I'll fuck you up, bitch." Y sabía de que si yo decía una palabra más, él me iba a malmatar. Y me quedé frisada.
I really felt like a punching bag, but not feeling you don't feel the pain anymore. I realized that I do not have control. I cannot control, will I live or die? That was the night when I was born again.
Wrapped his arms around my neck to put me in a chokehold. He knew that my father did something similar.
There was just this voice in the back of my head just saying, "You're never going to be loved. Nobody's ever going to care for you."
And I was standing there, and a voice in my head, I heard, "If you jump, is it high enough to kill you? If you jump over the rail of this balcony, are you high enough up so that when you hit the patio, you will be dead?" And I just went, whoa, wait a minute, who is that?
I texted a friend that I was basically gonna like commit suicide. My mother came into my room and, told me how I had embarrassed her.
If you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you're the girlfriend or wife, you are an extension of them. If you are the child of a narcissist, you are an extension of them. They don't see you as a separate autonomous being who has their own life and their own aspirations and their own ideas of things. So if you deviate from what they want for you, it's a real problem.
And I remember this moment hysterically crying, standing in their apartment. And it was like ripping a bone out of my body. I must have stood there crying for 30 minutes while they said malicious shit to me. Just move your feet. And it took 30 minutes, but I finally walked out.
We give more chances than we should because we've really lost contact with who we are.
How did it happen? How did you get there? Where did you go? Because I was pretty much rolling from one very unsafe, toxic, actively violent atmosphere to another.
And he'd come in, screaming and shouting and said like, "Where's my dinner?" And he just slammed the plate. I just knew that moment, this has to stop.
I had done everything and I knew it wasn't going to get any better. So I needed to leave to protect myself so that I didn't end up dying myself.
And I remember just like waking up and just like packing all of my stuff and getting in my car and driving back to Colorado and just being like, I'm done. It's time to step back and to like liberate myself. Like, I don't know who's going to love me. I don't know how that's going to look, but like, I have to choose myself.
It was common for her to tell people what I was like in bed. Like, imagine that.
Just from all that pain, it woke me up.
Saw my little girl on the bed staring, and I thought, he's going to kill me in front of her. If he can do this to me, what can he do to her?
My little boy came in, his dad was yelling at me. And he looked up at his daddy, stood in front of me, and he looked up at his daddy and he said, "Please don't hit my mummy." And that just broke my heart. I have to take this child away from this situation or this cycle is going to continue.
He broke my nose.
Inside of me, I still loved him.
I had to go to bed at a certain time and I had to have sex with him so many times a day because that's what he needed.
When you decide to leave, it's actually statistically the most dangerous time.
Then he would go to jail and he would send people from out of jail to come and torture us and to rape my mom.
He kidnapped me and held me against my will, and he nearly took my life. Was choking me out and I was going in and out of consciousness. And this voice in my head said, a very soft, subtle voice, "Tell him you love him." And in my mind I'm going, no, I'm not doing that. I don't love him. This animal's trying to kill me. Tell him you'll stay with him. Tell him he can stay here. Tell him you're going to be together. Tell him you're not going to tell anyone. But my body was wanting to fight. I followed the guidance from this voice, step by step, and that is what saved me.
Every type of abuse I had experienced. I was stabbed, I was choked.
I was forced to leave him. He almost killed me.
I had enough and I ended up going to the mental hospital. And because I wanted to end my life. But that was because I knew something had to change, and unfortunately that was my thoughts on how it should change.
I'm essentially in a prison the same way he's in a prison. There is no way I'm going to allow him to have any more of a negative influence over me and my life. I was like, I'm going to take control of this.
That's one of the things we lose with our voice. We lose the control.
I really thought it would be the end of my life. I really thought I had no friends and no family and I couldn't do anything. You are stronger than you think.
What the judge did, they created a boundary, which I wasn't able to create. And for the first time, I felt safe.
Do I deserve such a relationship, or do I deserve better?
What helped me the most to heal is therapy and believing in myself.
You can know that, you're not alone and that you can survive. You don't have to be a victim. You can be a survivor.
Sometimes we just need someone to be strong for us until we can be strong for ourselves.
Someone needs to say, I get it, it hurts, I understand, and you're right, and we're going to help you get through this, and we're going to do it together. Then they have the strength to do almost anything.
My therapist was like, yeah, this family member is an asshole. And I didn't catch it then because I was so used to being dismissed. It's like, yeah, no, but you don't understand, like, this person's done this and this and this to me. And then I realized, wait, she actually affirmed what I had to say. And that's, I think, one of the first times I felt heard.
I know that I love myself the way that I am.
Tam się mi otworzyły oczy, że relacja, którą stworzyłam ze swoim byłym mężem, była poniekąd przeniesieniem relacji z moją mamą, gdzie nie czułam takiego dowartościowania, jakie potrafi dać mama swojej córce.
I don't know who I am. If he dies, I will die too. I have 2 children. I couldn't even think for them.
Like, leaving is not easy. He just made me feel old, ugly, worthless, that no one would want me, that he was the best I was ever going to get, that I could never do anything better than him. With the constant voice voice and, you know, everything that they're saying, you just like, oh, it must be true.
There's something wrong with me.
And now I understand that limerence is part of trauma. Codependency is an addiction because we are so physiologically trauma bonded to that individual.
It was the biggest blessing of my life. It was the biggest awakening because I had to face my parent, my inner child. I don't have to stay in a relationship that's toxic not to feel pain, because we're often staying because we don't want to feel the pain.
I was a mess, in emotional turmoil. Well, I'm free. I can do what I want. I started using cocaine just to try and suppress the emotions that I couldn't deal with. I wasn't being Jennifer. I wasn't being me.
You need to go really no contact.
I need to feel the fear and do it anyway.
I deserve better. I really deserve better.
See the best parts of me and to honor the best parts of me.
Realizing I don't have to explain myself to anyone else as long as I know what I'm doing is right for me and it's not hurting anyone else and it's on the path of love, then it's okay.
If I look at my x-ray of my spine and see my 15 bulging discs, I want it to remind me of how far I've come and not where I was.
Knowing my worth and that I didn't have to be mistreated like that ever again.
Loving myself and forgiving myself.
Felt as if every moment that I walked away from something bad, I gained so much within myself because it was this like yes to my like being and to myself that I learned how to like unconditionally love me.
Like I remember just like lying on the floor and just being like, I just sort of let go. Like I just really fully let go.
You're transmuting that energy, right, into the natural other elements, right? Earth, air, water, wind, metal, use them. Earth is plentiful.
Healing is when I share my story and listen to other people, their story, and that's really makes me free.
The biggest thing I'm proud of myself is finding a person that specializes in narcissistic abuse.
And I would have to sleep with a metal pole by my bed, although he was in prison and my mind knew I was safe. I still didn't feel safe. My child had 18 months of counseling as well.
Because there were days I forgot to bathe and there were days that I didn't brush my teeth. So it's hard. And if you are judging yourself and your healing process against the other, like I talked about, this other that you can't name, they don't have faces, they're just the other people must do it better. No, nobody does healing better. It's ugly.
Zaczęłam być coraz bardziej świadoma, uzdrawiałam siebie, bo wiedziałam, że mam jakieś deficyty, tak, że ja też po coś go potrzebowałam. Nie kocham siebie, w ogóle nie mam żadnych granic. W ogóle nie wiedziałam, co to są granice, tak? Każdy mógł ze mną robić, co chciał. Byłam zawsze dla wszystkich, tylko nie dla siebie.
I need to take care of me. And so that's what I did. And I did grieve. It was difficult, but it was cleansing. It allowed me to open my mind to possibilities.
I don't need another person to be whole. I know what I am. Nobody else can take that away from me.
I needed to dig deep and know that I was worthy of having better opportunities, and so are my children.
Well, he still wrote me an email a month ago how much he loves me and wants me back. And now I'm finally angry about it. I'm like, who do you think you are? It took me 14 months to get to the anger.
I'm not going to allow them to rent space in my mind and in my soul, because maybe I spent that season of my life hurt, but I'm not going to give them my future.
If you've been through narcissistic abuse, your self-esteem will be rock bottom. And that's okay. You can get well. You can heal. And the first thing that you'll need to do is take your healing into your own hands. Use your intuition to guide you through the process of what will help you the most. Get your team of healers and follow your heart.
Is that if you don't know what you enjoy, because you were with the narcissist for so long, do something that they hate. Over time, the more you get to know yourself, the more you feel like you're going to live, that you know you're okay alone.
See the best parts of me and to honor the best parts of me.
You can't process if you're repeating everything over and over in your head. You can't process if you're not talking.
Many moments that I was like, just get on Tinder, like just like escape. And it really meditation and going and like really diving into my spirituality.
I was working on me. I was working on becoming stronger in my mind, in my body. I was nourishing myself with affirmations. I was going out in nature, and I wanted to nourish myself back to health by looking after my body, by appreciating my body, appreciating everything I'd been through. For every bruise, I was nourishing me again, step by step, bit by bit, and building myself up, and I still am.
Start to learn who I am again.
It's very important for also you to forgive yourself, and that comes with, you know, letting it out, letting everything out, and saying it's not your fault, because you're beautiful and you can do whatever you want to do. You know, it took me a long time because I was told those things too. Now I get my nails done whenever I want, and I don't care.
Questioning myself and always asking myself, does this feel good for me? Is this right for me? Am I thriving? Am I accomplishing my own goals?
I focus on EMDR therapy.
I realized that I could choose to do or be anything that I wanted.
Open your mind to possibilities and experience things. It changes how you interact with people. Confront the pain, and you can't use substance to numb the pain.
To feel your feelings. Stop eating them, stop smoking them, stop drinking them, stop sexing them, stop Netflixing them, stop exercising them, stop avoiding them, stop repressing them. Feel them.
You don't have to justify your actions of why you feel your feelings to anyone. They are yours. If you don't address your past, you really don't ever get to course correct for your future.
And you have to evaluate, what part did I play in this?
10 years I wasted sitting on the couch, not making a decision because I didn't think that I was capable of making a decision.
Sometimes we want what we want, and sometimes we can see red flags, but because we want a family, we want to buy a house, we push past it because we want what we want.
Especially guys often say, oh, but you're the one who stayed. That's harsh to go and say, oh, but you stayed, so, you know, you did it to yourself.
Survivors who never healed. So now they're becoming abusers. And that's the cycle. It's our responsibility to heal from it and not to spread it, because then you take it out on your children, you take it out on people in the store. We need to stop and heal ourselves, and that's going to heal the society, that's going to heal this planet.
Your healing process is yours to own and yours to navigate, and don't judge it against anybody else. Just know that the continuation of one foot in front of the other.
Healing is happening all the time.
I deserve better. My kids deserve better.
I have chosen to never speak ill of my ex-husband. I have chosen to try to be strong for my kids. I want them to draw their own conclusions on what they know about their father. I don't want to be the reason that they hate someone or the reason that they love someone.
And there's moments that I wish I hadn't been a part of. And there's moments where I look down at my little girl and I just smile from ear to ear, because I know that these moments would not have happened had we stayed. And for me, that is worth every moment of heartache and trial and terror that happened from that breaking of relationship, escaping from that situation, was knowing that I could keep her safe and she would be loved and she'd be in a healthy relationship with me, with herself. If you're in a situation where there's red flags now, they will not get better.
Look at the action instead of the words.
Just knowing yourself, doing things that you enjoy.
Everything changes when you choose to show up for yourself through any type of therapy.
and keep looking until you find that thing that gives you the breakthrough. Don't think that that's the only breakthrough.
To allow your inner light to illuminate those dark spots in ways that use it to be your best self.
Anyone can recover from post-traumatic stress. It is possible, and people don't know that.
There are people who want to help you, and there are people who've gone through what you're going through. So don't die with those secrets in you. Share them and ask for help. And what happens is you start to go from this to this to this, to where you can open your mouth and know that you're speaking the real, authentic truth, the true story, your story, and someone needs to hear it.
You have to make that decision that you are done. And that decision is like, it's an energetic declaration to the universe. It literally comes from your gut, comes from your heart. You're just like, I'm over it. I'm so done. No more. Literally. You need to have that power within you to go, no. Because whatever you say creates how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do. Why is it so easy for me to love and respect myself more and more every day? The only person's word you need to keep is your own, to yourself. If you promise yourself that you're going to do something for someone, and at the very last moment, your intuition, your body is saying no, then you say no. Because that could literally save your life.
Their abusers were victims as well.
I should have had therapy when I was a kid. When my parents got divorced, I read the divorce paper. It stated that they got divorced because my father was showing mental cruelty to my mother. I started doing that to my wife. I was lying to make myself feel better. I didn't want a family. My family was broken up. I didn't have any family morals. I lost my integrity. I lost my character. I started changing myself into this person that wanted to be a military man. So my mindset changed, and it wasn't about family. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about commitment. It was about make myself stronger so that I wouldn't be bullied anymore. I was bullied as a kid too. And also I became a bully. The first person I started bullying was my sister. So a lot of things, generational trauma, generational tragedy was passed down to me, and I didn't know how to process it. So I kept it in, and then I started acting out in my relationships. I wasn't physically violent, but I was verbally abusive, and I was mentally abusive. I was uncomfortable when things were right. I was uncomfortable when there wasn't any drama. It's bad, but I was also attracted to women that were easy to discard. So I could have a connection with him and then sever the connection and be gone like the next hour or the next day. He was attracted to women that needed to depend on him. And so I started wanting women to depend on me. What I learned in therapy, she asked me, she said, well, you want people to depend on you, but when they depend on you, you get mad. And I wanted them to want me. I wanted them to like pay into me and depend on me. But when they did, I pushed them away because it was too much. I became very promiscuous. I didn't know how to be monogamous. I didn't care if I got caught. I didn't care if I made my current girlfriend cry. I didn't process my own hurt. I didn't want to relive it. So I suppressed it. I kept it inside, not knowing that it was doing internal damage. So yeah, my own pain was something that really caused me to run away from things. I was the reason why they were failing. I was the reason why my exes were deprived of physical touch. They were deprived of communication. They were deprived of, saying nice things, words of affirmation. They were deprived of all of that. But I wanted that from them, but there was no reciprocity. So I can say I'm wrong now. I couldn't do that before. It felt horrible to apologize. It felt horrible to be wrong. And then again, I would start to flee and walk away and avoid and get angry and say bad things and put her down.
I'm sorry I ever lied. I'm sorry that I couldn't tell you the whole truth about me and everything that I was going through and everything that I was feeling. I'm sorry that I created character to interact with you with that would protect my, control of you in a way.
I felt so familiar and safe to be around him.
Our most core fundamental human need is to feel accepted within a tribe, which is why most attachment dysfunction come from feeling rejected from your tribe. And at the core of all human experience is the need for safety. What makes that child feel safe with his mother is that the mother tried to attune and respond to the child's needs.
If you are someone who never felt seen, you've learned that
in order to survive, you have to focus on other people to feel safe. So you're externally focused. Lots of times, those of us who have a lot of empathy didn't experience a lot of empathy in childhood. We give everybody empathy because we don't want other people to feel the way we felt as children.
People who tend to be the target of a narcissist are people who often are highly empathetic.
Let's say we've come from a physically abusive system, but this new partner is just verbally abusive, right? Like that can feel better. Well, at least that person doesn't, physically hurt me.
No matter how much you understand in your cognitive conscious brain that he's not treating me right, or, this isn't healthy, you still have that feeling inside that it's like this longing desire for this person, and it really feels like love. It's just a program that was set into your body, is based on the way that our caretakers emotionally attuned with us before the age of 3. And what emotional attunement means is they would get down on your level and look you in the eye and let you know that they were with you in whatever emotion that you were expressing. They allowed you to be upset. They allowed you to be happy and ecstatic, and they didn't shut you down when you got excited. And when that happened, you would have a secure attachment style, which in adulthood translates into, I'm comfortable with my emotions. I know that people will be there for me. I know that I can set boundaries. They know inherently and understand that conflict in a relationship is an opportunity for resolution. As that young child, whenever your parent leaves, it's like a tear and a fear of abandonment. First of all, you develop this desperation around your parent leaving at any moment, and you start watching their eyes move this way and that way, and they're getting ready to get up, and you're like, where are you going? Where are you going? Like, what's happening? As an adult, you associate love with abandonment. Love and abandonment become one thing, right? They don't understand relationship without that inconsistency. The avoidant attachment style is developed when the parents were mostly neglectful of the emotional needs of the child. And as adults, these are your people that are like playboy type of person. We're in a relationship for 2 to 3 months. As soon as things get very serious, they're out. They find a anxious person, right? And this anxious person is all, very open, emotion on their sleeve, happy to engage and get close. So the avoidant person sees the anxious person and likes that. But the avoidant person, their nervous system can't handle too much of that. They pull away. And when they pull away, that triggers the anxious attachment style to say, oh, there's that inconsistency, must be love.
We're trying to control the outcome and control a different ending. That's another reason why we return to these patterns.
If what you have grown up with is abuse, we tend to go back to that in the unconscious hope that there will be some resolution.
Be the rescuer, and maybe this time it will be different.
Learn how to say no.
You cannot have a healthy dynamic without boundaries.
It's just voicing your own needs and wants.
While an abusive person, what they do, they will try and make you feel wrong about your boundary, or they will try and overpower that boundary. The safest way for you to protect yourself and also to start building a healthy dynamic is to work on the boundaries, and you can do that in a somatic way with a good trained therapist. Telling people to just love themselves is so unhelpful, and again, often makes people feel more shame that they can't give that to themselves.
Self-love is a result of the healing. It is not an ingredient. To tell people that they can't heal without self-love, when you've got somebody who has never had any model of what that means, if they've been raised by abusers or neglected, emotionally neglected most of their life, to tell them that they have to have this thing to prescribe that as the prescription, I think is doing people a huge disservice.
What if, he was nicer to me? I didn't even remember the child born at some points.
Trauma bond is a chemical addiction. So this is how it's created. And it's actually the strongest bond that we know in psychology, which is very, very difficult to break. It's this initial infatuation from these chemicals dopamine, oxytocin, and then mixed with anxiety and fear. Love bombing, which is a stage of idolization where they idolize you, tell you they're so curious about you, everything about you is amazing. What that does is it triggers your reward hormone in your brain called dopamine, which makes you feel fantastic about yourself. They often go quick to physicality, physical intimacy, which triggers something called oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone that also makes you trust. So it makes you trust them when you shouldn't actually trust this person yet because you don't know them, which is why we become blind when we engage very quickly in these dynamics and also become sexual very quickly. We go into a temporary state of obsessive compulsive disorder, which is basically also elevated levels of dopamine. We no longer see the person for who they are. We also start idolizing, and then we make very poor judgment and choices.
If you have a relationship in which there is the highest of highs, it's the most extraordinary highs, and then the most devastating lows, you are in a trauma-bonded relationship. If you have never experienced, if this person is your soulmate, and yet at the same time he crushes your soul, that is a trauma bond. Our brains are addicted to, because when we get that rush, we get a rush of dopamine, which is a brain chemical that surrounds, it's the reward center of the brain. We're good, we did good, and we get rewarded with whether it's a Cartier bracelet or it's flowers, intensity of the makeup sex and the like, oh my God, the bond that we have. Right. Your brain gets addicted to returning to that place and is constantly seeking it.
You have to heal chemically, you have to heal mentally, you have to heal spiritually.
So how do we break that? How do we break out of that when that feels so good and we need it, we crave it, we have to have it?
We have a drug addiction. We need to treat it as a drug addiction if we need to break the trauma bond, which is why therapy is great, but alone it's not enough. So there's two things we need to do to break the trauma bond. First of all, we need to ensure that we have social support, and specifically with people who are safe attachment, meaning they give us acceptance, they give us support, they attune to us and listen to us, and they respond to us. Number two is understanding the chemicals that we just talked about. You need to find replacements for dopamine and oxytocin, because they will obviously crash when the abuser leave you, discard you, or abuse you. To come back and have a balanced hormone level again, you need to find how can we create reward that gives you dopamine and oxytocin as well. You can do that through eye contact, social contact, touch, go get a massage. You can set small goals you can achieve that release dopamine, exercise. Same time, have to do things that reduce adrenaline and cortisol, which are the stress hormones. Because what happens is when you have high level of cortisol through long times of stress, which is what you have with an abuser, your memory function actually shuts down and you can't store the memory properly anymore. Something called the hippocampus, which is part of storing memory, doesn't function anymore. And your perception of time starts shutting down, which is why you become in a traumatized loop you can't get out of, which also develop things like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And to help this recover, you have to also lower the element of cortisol, which you can do again with exercise, etc., with different somatic therapies have been shown to be great. Yoga, which are really great at lowering that. So you can start what neuroscience call integration, which is what trauma healing is, which is where we integrate your experience cognitively, which is what you get in normal therapy. You talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But just talking about it has not been shown to be that effective for PTSD. So if you suffer from that, a trauma-bond PTSD, you also need a way to integrate emotions and somatic sensations, because trauma is also stored in the body. If you don't teach your body how to feel safe again, you can still feel unsafe and traumatized years after the experience.
And so then trauma gets stored in our system, in our body, until we properly process it and release it. Some of the symptoms that can show up in our body, like panic attack, anxiety, dissociation, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic tension, skin disorders.
Just standing in our own truth, doing our best to not use the children in a way that ultimately would be harmful for them. As children get older, they are going to be much more aware of the actual truth. Also, as the parent, let's say the non-narcissistic parent, boundaries are incredibly important.
We need to teach kids about boundaries. You know, with my daughter, who's 6 now, where we do boundary practices. So I will tell her, we are now going to do this practice where you get to, you know, this is your a teacher. I tell her, this is your body. You decide. Nobody can ever touch your body without your consent. I explain that. And then we practice it through play. I will say, I'm going to tickle you. And if you don't want it, say no or say stop. And then she learns that I stop when she says stop, and she's in control. I'm now teaching her not to caretake and notice her own body when it doesn't feel good anymore, right? Number one, I'm teaching her to say stop, and I'm showing her somebody who's safe because I respond. Then as she gets safe and learn that, and she is very safe now because I've done this for years since she was small, then I start showing her how the world might be, which is a world will not always stop because it's not full of safe, mature men. There's also a lot of men that violate women, as we know. So I get her ready for that practice. So I say, okay, now I'm not going to stop when you say stop. And then I teach her responses she can do to deal with that. I say, if I don't stop, kick me away. Physically kick me away. And that teaches her a physical safety in her body. That she's physical safe, because she knows if he doesn't stop, I have the right to kick him. And I even praise her when she does this, because I want her to know if a man doesn't stop touching you when you say stop, you have the right to physically enforce your boundary. And often we teach women that they don't have that right. And then I say, okay, if you feel overpowered and you can't, you know, you can't respond purely by kicking me away, what do you do? And she knows. She runs straight to mommy. And she said, Daddy isn't stopping. She knows to seek social support. She knows, number one, I verbally assert my boundaries. Number two, if that doesn't respond, I physically assert my boundaries. If asserting my boundaries physically is not possible or safe, then I run off and I seek social support from other adults. And that teaches her how to deal and trust in her own boundaries and knowing that she's safe in the world.
There's an ease and flow between you and your communication. So you feel like you can be heard, you can be understood, you can be supported, you feel more relaxed, and you can be yourself, you feel trusting.
Most people think that physical violence is the only type of abuse and is the only type of abuse that is recognized by immigration law. However, there are other types of abuse that are non-physical and they are recognized. It could be emotional, psychological, power and control, financial. Isolation is one of them. If your spouse or abuser doesn't let you to talk to other people and justify it with something else. Oh, we don't have time to go see your family member. Let's go out with my friends, not your friend. Or even survivors working, they don't have access to the money that they are earning. They have to hand over to the abuser. Sexual abuse. I'm gonna call immigration on you to deport you. Actually, no one can deport a person, only immigration judge. Knowledge is power. And that's my personal mission.
We're not just necessarily bouncing back to where we were before the trauma happened. We can actually bounce forward and reach new levels of thriving and new levels of self-actualization. A trauma is an injury, and a lot of people don't think of it that way. Something happened to you. It's an injury, and it can be recovered from. Being heard and being seen is really important at that phase of just really understanding, oh my gosh, I was injured. That was an injury. And so then the next step would be grieving. It's really important. You don't want to overstep that one. And that's a place where talk therapy, where counseling can be very, very helpful, because there's some part of us that wants to be witnessed in that grieving, and we want to witness ourselves. A lot of people think that they have to have memory of everything before they can heal. And I'm here to tell you that's just not so.
You know, how do you go from thriving to surviving? You need a why. What is yours? What is your why? Why do you still fight to get up in the morning? Why do you get a job? It's not just to have a car. It's not just to have an apartment. There's something else.
Everything is a reflection, and my outer reality is a reflection of my inner reality. So if you have people in your life that are abusive or critical, then it means you're being like that to yourself.
Are you saying to yourself, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm undeserving, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough, nobody wants me? You're literally vibrating in fear, fat. Like, would you say any of those things to anybody else? What do you want to say to yourself instead? How do you actually want to feel? Make a list of all the qualities and traits that you would love to embody and be like. Why am I so happy, healthy, and abundant? You do it while you're moving, while you're dancing, and you're the most important person in your life. So own it and go and have fun. Go and do what you want to do. Do what brings you joy, and do more of that every single day.
I ended up changing what I was attracted to. I was attracted to the tough, hard kind of a guy, and I changed and was attracted to a completely different kind of a guy.
I'd broken the pattern. He was like, why would I? Why would I ever treat you with a lack of respect? Why would I ever treat you with a lack of love and respect that you deserve? And I was just like, it's gone. Because my energy shifted, because I chose me. I decided this is what I want, and I am not tolerating anything less.
I'm going to say yes to myself. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to respect my boundaries. I'm going to celebrate myself.
It is your life. Your life is a choose your own adventure. Your life is a story that you get to write. You are the author of your own story. So do not sit there and play the role of the victim, be like, everything happens to me. No. You get to consciously choose and consciously create. And that is when you actually get to literally take back your power, because you're like, I am choosing this, or I am tolerating this. So if you are stuck in that position right now, then recognize and realize that you have a choice.
What is your superpower?
My strength, and knowing that I can think it, believe it, and achieve it.
My ability to share my experiences.
Unconditional love.
Vulnerability, honesty, love.
I'm always willing to help people.
My heart.
I can love the people who have hurt me.
I can sense people.
Es resiliencia.
Being able to speak.
I'm a very, very fast learner.
The ability to relate to all different kinds of people.
I still always see the best part of every person.
Bringing people together.
I can find anything, anywhere.
I'm very supportive.
Just superwoman on you.
Intuition.
Realizing my character.
To see the good in others.
Listening.
Courage.
My mother.
Authenticity.
To make friends.
Deep connection.
My ability to grow.
Helping others.
Growing.
Listen to my heart.
It's creativity and innovation.
Is recombobulation.
Is being me.
Seeing the world with wonderment.
Patient.
To understand at a very deep level.
Love.
Bring out the deeper parts in people.
To think logically.
Self-healing.
Motivate people from the heart.
A wszystkie kobiety, które dzisiaj słyszeliście, są dowodem na to, że ta zmiana jest warta tego, żeby ją podjąć i warta jest tego, żeby o siebie zawalczyć.
This was an experience that actually helped us learn how to love ourselves better.
Everything isn't happening to you. Everything's happening for you. We don't have to get trapped in the past story. Instead of believing that we're broken and wounded and nobody will ever love me, we need to shift that perspective and say, no, I'm a warrior. I survived the unthinkable. And now I am stronger and better. I have gone through it and I've come out even better than before.
It's a beautiful quote that says, exposure is transformative.
Because someone else out there is living our life. Someone else out there is living the life that all of these survivors and thrivers have escaped right here, right now. You can pick up any newspaper. You can go online to any news outlet and you'll hear about mostly women, some men, but mostly women who are killed by their boyfriends, who are killed by the children of their father. You hear it all the time. And so there's someone out there right now that is living your survivor story. And when you start speaking, you give that person hope. So suddenly, with the hope, they start to have this idea of choice. And that is really possible. That's where you can really help someone create great impact in that person's life, and if they stay on the path, they can then in turn create great impact in their life. They can end generations of trauma. They can end generations of codependency, generations of women and men picking the wrong partners and staying and not understanding what's going on. And I think that is so encouraging. And that's why you do what you do, because you want to encourage people to awaken and to take ownership over their life in a powerful way and to tell their story.
You just don't know what people have gone through in this life to live, to stay alive, to breathe, to not cry, to hide their laughter because someone else doesn't want them to laugh. Someone says, oh, well, blah, blah, blah has happened to me. Immediately take a breath and say, what if that were me? How could I handle that?
Your reality can change. Who you are can evolve. You need to focus on love to access the reality of who you are. You need to embrace love in your life.
But that's what we're missing in this universe. It's love. And that is the antidote to hate, crime, pain, depression, anxiety, and hurting each other.
You can thrive and you can be happy after an abusive relationship. Do you have a story to share?
It's night in the city, and I'm on my way back home. Humming on my favorite ditty, swinging like Natalie Cole. But then out of the blue, who strolls down the boulevard but you? Your place is closer than mine. Why don't we go there and have some more wine? 'Cause life is for living. Let's see where this all might lead. Let's see where this all might lead. Waking up to a brand new day in between your sheets. Breaking up in the best of ways, and I'm back again on the street. Ooh, but then out of the blue, a wind starts blowing in ways so new. A world more exciting than mine is holding up a great big welcoming sign. Life is for living. Let's see where this all might lead.
And now, please help me to welcome Crystal. We prepared this space for all the 88 participants of Exposé. Some of them were able to join today on Zoom with us. And we have some questions for you to celebrate you and your journey. Crystal, are you ready to take it from here?
All right. So, first off, I want to thank all of you again for being here with us and forgiving our technical difficulties. The best laid plans, right, guys? We even did a test run an hour before and it streamed perfectly. So thank you guys all for your patience, love, and gratitude and sticking with us First, I have to tell you, Anna, that was amazing. You did the most amazing job piecing it together. The comments on YouTube were all positive and uplifting, even with the technical issues that we were having. They thought you did an amazing job, and you did. The message is there of healing, of hope, and wanting us to, see what I want to see the rest of this. I want to keep going, you know. I'm excited to see the 15 episodes after this feature pilot. uh, Yeah, I'm definitely in. I can't wait to see all of them. And I mean, I've been talking about them with you for weeks now, and I'm like definitely all in. So, with that being said, I would like to open up a Q&A panel, an open panel, speaking with the other members of the documentary that was with us, and then also with the experts on narcissistic relationships and such. Sharon, yes, I love you. And I will get to your question, but I actually, for once, I'm actually sticking with the flow of how we planned it. So, uh, the first question, is for all of our, my fellow members of the documentary, that's on the panel. How has your life changed since sharing your story in the documentary? Well, I've already kind of answered that in my intro. So, would anybody that was that took part with us like to go first? I know some of what Marissa has been doing, and I'm trying to see who all else was in it that's here. Well, Grace, why don't you share what's changed in your life since you're part? Ooh,
Well, Anna
and
is
yeah,
actually
I was
raising.
gonna say, and would you care to answer? Mhm. And okay, there we go. Go ahead and unmute, honey. You gotta unmute. Mhm.
You do it and then it does. You do it and then it does. Okay. So first of all, congratulations to all of you, because one of the things that I talk about is being a first waiver fireproof woman or person. And this documentary really supports so many people who are willing to step up and become fireproof through this experience in their life and healing from it. So all for many years, I've been working on this situation as a life coach, as a healer, as a mother, as a partner, as a friend. And the transformation in my life is really complete. I've done all that I need to do. I'm so happy and fulfilled. I love working with my clients. And most of all, I'm so excited about the time that we're living in, because we're going to get it done. We're getting it done now. And you have all made that possible. And it's going to grow like wildfire. And I'm so excited to have lived long enough to see it. So thank you all.
Thank you for that. I truly appreciate your input, because you're right. We all have that fire. That's why I like to call all of us phoenixes instead of survivors. I no longer feel that survivor is a derogatory term, but I still prefer to say that we've made a flock of phoenixes, you know, helping heal others and pull them out of the fire as well. So thank you for that. I truly appreciate your feedback. So Asa, would you like to share? I'm hoping I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm horrible with names. People butcher my last name all the time, so I understand. If I didn't pronounce it, I do apologize. Go ahead and unmute.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, you said it right. My name is Asta, and I was just watching how many scary stories, and I was like, oh my God, you know. But at the same time, I think what I'm doing now, I'm helping many other women to find their own perfect partners and releasing anger and sadness and fear to believe in love again. And when I was looking and I was like, you know what? I think so many women living, or men living just in okay relationship. And I'm kind of was saying nearly in my mind, you know what? Thanks God he was that terrible. What I want to leave him. Because I think if he wouldn't be that terrible, I would be still living in okay relationship. So sometimes maybe we need to be woke up and really say, wait a minute, you're not happy here. So get out or do something about it. But when I'm looking, you know, I probably would be still living in somewhere, something just about okay, you know. And I kind of, in my mind, nearly felt, you know what, maybe we need sometimes that kick. And I know many of us were saying, I was hearing, don't go there, but I didn't listen myself. I was the same. Oh my God, I hear many, many in my mind, don't, no, he's not, la la la. But I didn't listen. And sometimes we need that harsh kick, you know, whatever it is, to wake us up. And I'm actually now only sending him love for being my kicker, if we say. You know, now I'm helping for others to do a different way to wake up, not harsh way, but actually with love. So we all done it. We all done it with a reason, and everything happened for the reason. And they come in our life in time, must be for our souls to rise. And now so many of us helping for others. So we must be needed to wake up. And I'm now saying thank you. Yes, took me years and years, but now I'm saying thank you for him. He was my great teacher. And all I have only love in my heart for him and for every man, because he lived and seen that scary things and he just repeated. He didn't know any other way. And that's what I feel. Only love, and more we can send love for everybody, for ourselves and for others unconditionally. I think that's where we will change and change that chain, what coming from kids. So thank you all so much for doing this video, doing this big, big job. Only love. And never ever stop believing in love. Love is everything.
All I could think of when that exact moment is one of my favorite movies, Moulin Rouge and the Elephant Medley. Honestly, you brought me to that moment, and I love that scene and that song. So thank you for that, and thank you for your beautiful words. I love what you're talking about with the coaching and everything. Jen Lynn is actually my coach for rebranding and everything, and we talk about a lot of that and everything. So I love it. Thank you so much. So I'm so excited that my wonderful sister and friend Marissa is here. We connected through Exposé and just formed a very strong bond. So I'm so excited that she raised her hand to come and talk with us for a moment. Go ahead and unmute, sweetie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marissa Rico. And, working with Anna and Crystal, it's been a long journey. And, I've become a public speaker. I'm an advocate for battered women and children. I've been sharing my story now for over 17 and a half years, but it was in private, it was with counseling. And I started doing that when I started Mary Kay. And going through Mary Kay, it was, you got to get out there and you got to speak. And I'm really shy. And, when I went through counseling, it was, you got to get your feet back. You got to get your head straight. I was told by my attorney that if I was going to fight for my son, that I needed to do counseling. I needed to find a house. I needed to get a job. I needed to rebuild everything. I needed to get my driver's license back because I was an alcoholic. And, it was the beginning of having to let go of alcohol. I'm also a recovering alcoholic for 17 years, because it was that decision that I had to make. But at the time, it was also healing because I didn't realize how broken I was. And so when I started with Mary Kay, I was going through the counseling, but then at the same time, I was trying to do the business. And so the ladies were like, why don't you do these ladies? So I started doing makeup on the people that were getting counseling there. And then they told me to share my story with them. So that's where my journey began, was really sharing my story. And I remember sharing my story the first time. I cried the first time because it was so fresh in my mind. And I remember after I shared my story, after the day was over, I felt better. I felt healed. And it was like I was starting to pick up the pieces again. And from there, it just kind of like came to me that I just kept sharing my story, wanting to share my story with others. And a couple years ago, when I first met Anna, was through Josie, another person that's in the documentary. And at the time, I was beginning to write my story, Journey to Success with Marissa and Aaron Rico. And at that time, I was reaching out to anybody that was wanting to talk about domestic violence. And Josie had introduced me to Anna. And from there, I just kind of like started connecting with Anna. And Anna texted me one day and she's all like, I'm looking for people to share a story or either donate to this documentary. And I want to just, share about survivors and all that stuff. And I was like, sure, I'll share my story, And so that's where it began. And Anna was telling me that I was the first person. She was shocked. She was like so happy. I just remember her being so happy that she had finally found somebody that was willing to share their story. And it was the beginning of a project and everything. So sorry. I got these kids. Hang on. Chris. And I was so happy and honored to be part of the documentary film and everything. And I have little kids here. I'm at the school.
Well, thank you, Marie.
So I'm like the bus driver and everything. So.
Thank you so much.
I just want to finish real quick. And but thank you so much for allowing me to share my story.
Marissa, you always hold a place with us. And I remember a very late night call with you, Marissa, while we were both doing arts and crafts for getting ready for Awareness Month. That is like my very first memory of you helping me out of a panic attack while we're doing arts and crafts over a Zoom call. So I wanted to let you know how much I did appreciate that, and I still make those ribbons because of that. night. So I wanted to say I appreciate you so much. Thank you. So, hi Erica. Would you please unmute for us and come down and let us know what you've been doing since the documentary and how it changed you.
Um, wow.
I love your top, by
so,
the way.
Thank you. Honestly, I kind of found myself sitting here listening to it and I'm like, oh man, you know what? I so wish I had been at this point of healing when Anna and I first talked years ago. And it's like, I feel like I could have been way more informative then. But no, the documentary actually, like doing that interview with Anna was a huge turning point for me in my healing journey. I had already begun it. And I had been away from my abuser for almost 2 years at that point, but it kind of was eye-opening for me. It was a light bulb moment, if you will, for how much I still had to do. And looking at it now, like I can't even believe that's the life I live. Everything has become so different for me. I am in the best relationship I have ever been in my life. I have a loving husband. My children have what is now a loving dad, not just a father. I'm a business owner. I'm a happy wife. And this really kind of kickstarted a lot of other things for me too. I started with some domestic violence awareness programs down at our local hospital. We live in the middle of nowhere. And we started with a lot of that and things like that. Most people in our area didn't even know that October was Awareness Month other than breast cancer. And I mean, God be with those who have it. But nobody knew it was a shared month. And I actually became a victims advocate for our local sheriff's office, one who actually really truly strives to help those who need it. And like I said, the documentary was a huge turning point for me in my journey. And I can't even look at where I was and really realize that that was the same person, because honestly, I'm not that same woman anymore. But I don't know. I can't thank Anna enough and Nicole, because she's the one who got us in touch, for the opportunity to even share my story and to be heard. So, thank you. That's what I got.
Thank you. I know that I'm not the only one that feels a lot like you do in the same way and has had that the same positive experience from coming after this. So congratulations on all of that. So Miss Trisha, welcome to the premiere. How has your life changed? But yeah.
Trisha, if you can raise your hand one more time for us. Oh, here you go.
There we go. Okay. Trisha, if you want to go ahead and unmute.
Is it working now?
Yeah, there we go, sweetie.
Hi guys. Hi Anna. Good job. Hugs.
Yes.
So much has changed. This October will be 4 years that I'm free from my abuser. No contact. 2 restraining orders. But I was already starting to heal when Anna found me as well, and I met so many amazing people like Crystal and Anna Peters and Dr. Meg, and just it's cool seeing all your faces again, and seeing this come together. We've all been waiting, so it was very cool, and I'm grateful for all your hard work, everybody that worked on it. Super cool. But I am finally in a home and not living in a one bedroom with my son. I went back to school and became a dog groomer, so I get to hang out with fur babies all day. You can see my table right here, but I'm a mobile groomer and I do house calls, so I'm a business owner now, and it's been amazing. And I am supporting myself and my son, and we're doing great. So yeah, it's been a lot of work. I'm still in therapy about every 2 weeks, and I absolutely adore my therapist. She's like an angel, but she specializes in narcissistic abuse, and it took me a year to get in with her because she's so sought after here where I live. And I just love her so much. She's done a lot of somatic healing with me and hypnotherapy because EMDR didn't work for me. But she's really helped me this past year work on healing my inner child, which has been pretty much the catalyst of me ending up with my abuser. And recognizing a lot of broken relationships and how I was parenting my mother. I've severed ties with my sister, who was abusive to me my entire childhood. Haven't spoken to her in 4 years. Actually, yesterday was her birthday. But it's been healing. It's been great. It's been hard. I still have days I struggle, but being able to give myself validation and that self-care and listening to my body and having strong boundaries with family, friends, don't have to deal with coworkers anymore because it's just me. And if I don't feel like it, I'm not grooming a dog because I'm having a day for me. But having that ability to set my own schedule and be there for my son when he needs me or myself has been such a blessing. So things are good. I'm still very single and will probably be for a while because I'm enjoying getting myself back and having time with my son and just pouring my energy into myself and him right now. Because we missed out on a lot of years dealing with chaos. So he's 13 now and he thinks he's 27, and the teenage hormones are very real. And
I have a 16-year-old son. I understand. And a 19-year-old daughter who lives in Fort Lauderdale, and I live in Missouri. Can you imagine those fun phone calls?
Yeah. So he gets all my energy and my dogs. So
but it's worth it.
It
You sound happy.
I am. I sleep at night.
That's the best part.
And if my door's not locked, I'm like, we're good. Which is
that feeling right there, that feeling of safety.
Yes.
In your own home.
And in my body again.
Yes.
For him in a long time.
Is probably the best thing that I could have heard.
Yeah.
You know, because that's one of the hardest things to truly feel after getting out.
It's interesting. A few weeks ago, actually about a month ago, I'd say, I was grooming in one of the exclusive neighborhoods here where I live in Wilmington, the rich
North Carolina.
And I had to get gas because I was about on E, and I pulled into the gas station in my abuser's new office because he lost his chiropractic license, thanks to my book. But anyway, he was standing outside walking into his new office, and I felt nothing. That was the first time I had seen him in almost 4 years. And I was like, there he is. Whatever. And I immediately called my therapist and I was like, I'm okay. So that was awesome.
Hey. Those wins are also always awesome, and I'd love to chat more in the after party.
Yes.
So
love you guys.
Love you. Thank you. So Coach Char,
Actually, we had Dr. Meg before. She just has trouble to. So, Coach Charletta, if you can excuse me, I'm going to bring. Hello, Dr. Meg. What's your feedback?
You need to unmute yourself, honey. She might be having sound issues.
It works. Can you say something? Yeah, it works.
Okay.
There we go. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It just
Like a
kept
Verizon
saying
phone.
thing. Anyway, I've had all these technical difficulties. So anyway, but
hello.
yeah. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Anastasia, for asking me to be a part of this and for allowing me to share my story, and then also to share the ways that I help people with holistic healing. Had to look up when we filmed this, and I was looking up on my iPhone. It was March 9th of 2022 was when we filmed it. And a lot has changed for me since then, mostly professionally, because that's, has been the focus. I went through, as you would have seen on the documentary, sexual, physical, emotional, narcissistic abuse from a parent as a child. And since the time that we did this, I've become much more public about the narcissistic abuse and have really focused publicly, even though I was doing it privately for decades, on narcissistic abuse, particularly parental narcissistic abuse. And that has opened up just such a bigger, I want to cry, such a bigger platform in my life to assist others, but also to continue my own healing. Because I often say to my clients, as long as you're in a body, the fun never stops. It's like there's always something to work through, to evolve to heal from. It's just that as you take up this lifestyle, really, it's kind of like a lifestyle of self-healing and getting the people in to help you with your healing process as needed, it goes so much faster each time you go through the next level, the next wake-up call, the next thing, because you become adept at it. It's like, exercising a muscle, basically. So, so at any rate, I just did an online summit that Anastasia was kind enough to promote for me, and I'll be doing this summit again because it was such a huge success. But it's parental narcissistic abuse and toxic family systems, and helping people heal holistically, mental, emotional, physical, and energetic and spiritual, because it's that emotional root cause and how that affects the body. And like somatic psychotherapy is the thing that I really specialize in. And it just needs a lot more attention, because all of you know that if you don't look at everything that's affected, and everything is affected when you get abused like this, then it's sort of like part of the healing happens, but it's the whole thing, the whole person. So a lot has changed in my business, in my life, in my heart, and in my own evolutionary process. Just being more public about what happened to me, and not to me, but for me, really growing up. So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this and to meet all of you amazing people. I've met some of you online. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you're muted.
Yep, thank you. Anna, now you're on stage. What have you been doing since the documentary?
Thank you, Dr. Mike.
So,
I think there is some setting which makes people being muted right away. That's why you guys make sure to
Yes,
accept that one.
yeah,
Okay,
Coach Char, go ahead and unmute.
no, it works now. Hi.
Hi guys. Hi guys. And I just want to first say, well done, well done, well done. This is like so amazing. Thank you so much for having me here. One thing I kept thinking about while I was watching the documentary is that I love so many different perspectives. I think that you did this so well and that you honored everyone's story from a point of where it was just really well balanced, because we're all different, but we all have some things in common. And I like to say that we're more alike than we are different. And when we tell our stories, we give other people the permission. So I just want to say thank you for doing this. I know that it wasn't easy, because I know the amount of warfare that comes with when you're trying to expose these things. So I just want to say thank you. What I've been doing since then is, since we talked, is I've just been helping people in my area of expertise. So I run a group, and it's narcissism, but it's from a biblical perspective, because I believe that so much of this is spiritual warfare. And until you really realize what you're dealing with, that's the similarities that go through all these traits. And so my little part of the world, or part of what I do, is help people deal with this in a way where they can honor their faith, where they can say, okay, is this something that was supposed to happen to me? Or why did this happen to me? Why did God let this happen to me? And most of the time that answer is that you were targeted, most of the time, because of the things that we have in common, right? So that's what I've been doing. I get so many testimonials from people saying that, hey, I'm now free. I'm free. I can sleep again. I don't walk on eggshells. I can find my hobbies, my interests, the things that make me happy. I'm back in touch with that again. And to me, that's what makes it worth it. So I think that together, as we all pull our voices together in unity, we can just really just help, because there are people that I can't help, but you guys can help. There are people that you guys can't help, I can help. But the important thing for me is that we all put our voices together. So that's what I've been doing, just trying to use what I can to do what I'm called to do. So thank you for this. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Charlotte. So, I had one more question, but this one I'm gonna open it to the floor, to everyone, because it is a question for anybody that's here. How did the documentary resonate with you personally, and what emotions did it evoke in you? So that's a really deep question, by the way, Anna, that you put in there. That's a really, really amazing question. So I know my beautiful sister Sharon has been itching to jump up and talk. So go ahead, sweets, unmute yourself.
But I'm actually gonna answer your question.
I know, I figured you would.
Because so there were many things that came up for me and resonated with me when I was watching this documentary. But first and foremost, I think the first emotion that came up for me wasn't really around the abuse that I experienced. It was more around the gratitude for Anna and for you, Crystal, and for everybody who shared their story in this documentary. Because I know, having been somebody who has experienced domestic abuse, for me, it was more emotional, and verbal abuse and manipulation and financial abuse, not so much of the physical. But that being said, it has taken me years to heal, and I'm still, I'm still in the healing. I'm a lot better than I was, but I think the healing will continue, as somebody else said, throughout my lifespan, because I just think it's part of what happens when you experience something like this. So first, what came up for me is gratitude for that, and then for everything I just said, but also what came up for me is that I wasn't alone. Because I'll tell you something, everybody here probably knows how lonely it feels, because my narcissistic ex-husband was really good at making other people believe he was something he wasn't. He put on such a facade when we walked out of the house, but once we closed that door behind us, it was a totally different world. And I mean, I honestly at times really thought that I was crazy, because I never knew who I was going to be dealing with. And it made me question myself in so many ways, because I had always said that I would never wind up in a relationship like that I'd always be able to see the signs, and that I always would respect myself enough not to be with a partner like that. And so just knowing that, and honestly, it wasn't until until I met Crystal and we started talking about, her background and my background. I never had a word, like I never really thought, I knew that I was being abused in a sense, but I never really put that terminology to it out loud. And it really wasn't until probably a few years ago that I started being, hey, no, this was not okay. And then when I met Crystal, it was really okay for me to say, no, this was abuse. It may not have been domestic violence, but it was domestic abuse. And so having the freedom to be able to tell my story and say it out loud, it just was very freeing. So all of these things came up for me, and a whole lot more that I can't even articulate right now. But before I mute myself again, I want to really thank Anna again for putting this documentary together and telling everybody's story in such a powerful but yet respectful and meaningful and empowering way. I have so much respect for you, Anna, and I have so much respect for you, Crystal, and everybody that took part in the documentary and had the courage and the bravery to share your stories at the time that you were asked. I can't thank you enough, and I only hope that we can continue to work together to hopefully make domestic violence and domestic abuse a thing of the past. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've been talking way too much and writing together way too much when you just about directly quoted me there at the end. Like my usual pitch when I talk about my writing and what I do and everything. Yeah, we hang out too much. And I'm playing with you, and I love you. And I take it as a good thing that I'm rubbing off on you. So, I gotta give you a little crap when you literally quote me. I love you, sweetheart. Thank you for coming and supporting. Well, Miss Coach Charlotta, you are next in line, my dear.
I don't think. Oh.
I already went. Do you want me to answer your next question? Because I see some other hands up.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jen.
For some reason, my screen like spazzed on me for a second.
I got it. Jen?
Yeah, I'm here. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for thriving and for first surviving. And doing that is not easy. And I am a survivor of, I'm a survivor too. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that, of course, we know this, but healing is a journey. It's a process. It's growing and glowing each breath, each day.
and it's never over, quote unquote, per se. But I love to see all of you above the ashes. I love seeing and hearing about where you are in your lives. And that's a choice and that's a decision. So thank you for being the powerhouses that you truly are. And I also just wanted to share with you, my son just turned 27 years old. And of course, he was a part of the abuse as well. And he is a survivor. He's 27. He has 3 successful businesses. He just moved into the house that he built. He's expecting his first biological son any day now. And I say that to you, if you have children that are still young, and even if they're older and they haven't quite got there yet, they will. Don't ever lose hope or feel that what you went through together, it was too much for them, because it's not, and they're going to come up out of whatever it is that they may still be in. And I just wanted to share that with you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Thank you. Grace?
I feel like that message was personally sent to me. It's got me a little bit of tears there, but okay. So this documentary last year, what it had meant for me was a physical transition to match the inner transition that was happening inside of me from survivor to thriver. I was flying from Vancouver to LA and thinking, I am flying in from my place where I was surviving, and I feel like when I land on the other side, I'm going to be joining a whole bunch of thrivers, and I too will be them. And that was a great opportunity, a great gift that Anna and the documentary gave to me. And then this time around, as I was able to watch the film, there are 2 very particular things that are really meaningful for me in my journey. And the beauty of you having brought so many different people from around the world and different continents, there are many different accents. And in your documentary, there were 2 in particular that were really meaningful for me. Because during the many gaslighting moments, I think a Canadian aspect of me was being a bit used to get off scot-free. And over here in Canada, we've had decades of work and how we like to accept other cultures, other ways of being. Your own culture is not the right way. So I grew up with try to take everything else that other people do with a grain of salt, because maybe there's rhyme or reason to it, be very open. And that kept on getting used. And I think this is the first time that I heard accents of the same from my abusers actually say, no, it's not okay. It's not right. And these are not, it's not typically the way that we are. And I think that just evaporated a lot of the gaslighting. It was super powerful. Another key aspect in the documentary that I heard was, I forgot her name. She wrote about how we need to heal chemically. And when hearing that, especially from my nursing background, it's just, it hugely elevates the validity around staying for a while. You need to be able to heal chemically before you can actually safely make next steps. And this is very huge, because now I can, with my nursing knowledge and my nursing speak, use that to really help others understand this stage, this phase. You know, mine lasted about 4 years before I could. There was like 4 years worth of chemical healing. I didn't know that's what it was happening. I kind of felt maybe intuitively that was it. But hearing that was really, really impactful. And then hearing that immediately after that, it was we need to replace oxytocin and dopamine. What's really interesting with watching your documentary and how it was styled, and was that there was voice after voice after voice, and it was switched up quickly after quickly. You know, there's a few seconds and then another and another, and all of it was validating. all that validation is like hits of dopamine and oxytocin for me. So your documentary and your voices, the voices within the documentary are what actually chemically heals me. So thank you guys for having spent the time, energy, and effort lending your voices. I can play this over and over and over again when I need some of that chemical healing. It's not just for now, and it's not just for this presentation of the initial documentary. It's for a very long time.
Thank you, Grace. That really was grounding what you just shared. And there's Raquel. I know Raquel is in the middle of work, and I know Ollie is waiting, but if you excuse us, I will ask to unmute you.
Okay,
Yay.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I just want to say greetings to everyone who are listening, and I want to personally thank you, Anna, for all of your hard work and your diligence with working with all of our stories. It was so intricately woven together. I never felt so supported and like I was with a group of friends or family who've experienced some very traumatic things, whether it be physical, emotional, psychological abuse. To me, it's all the same. And I was listening to some of the things that we learned or what we've been doing from the time we did the documentary. And I think from the time I told my story, I really didn't, how sometimes you don't connect with what you're going through. You don't give it a name. So it allowed me to give a name. It allowed me to free myself of the bondage that I had endured for so many years in a marriage with a person who now I have empathy and compassion for, where before, it was just, I was just going through things. And then I think like right after the divorce, it was just anger, a whole lot of anger, but it also allowed me to connect other abuse that I had been through in my childhood. And so it gave license to my allowing, or at least connecting into another relationship and allowing that type of abuse, or not even realizing I was going through it. But it gave me the freedom after hearing it, like saying it out loud and allowing my mind and body to hear what I actually endured. And then I started to really remember and allow myself to heal and recover. So counseling really helped me. And again, everybody's talking about freedom. Yes, it was freedom indeed. Freedom from a bondage that is indescribable. But I just want to say blessings to everyone who have been enduring this journey and who have crossed over to the other side. I don't think anything is by happenstance. I believe we have so much that we can impact the lives of so many others in the world. Like our stories are not just for our own. We don't go through things just for ourselves. So here's to helping a lot of people in the world who need us. Our stories give way and give life and freedom to so many others. So thank you for allowing me to heal, because I don't think had I not gone through this process, I don't think I would have been in the place I'm in today. And that's a very holistic place, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Raquel. And I'm celebrating you and what you have done and your healing and just sharing all of that.
Thank you.
I see we have Ollie and Marisa and Michael. I also want to welcome and invite to the stage Daria and other participants from Poland. She's in Ireland right now. Amazing woman. Hannah, she's from Canada. And Anna is actually in Australia. She has been such a great supporter, and I just want to acknowledge all of you who have been part of it. I know we are over the time, so I want to keep the boundaries. So I know many of you have your schedules, so this is the time if you want to leave. Thank you for joining, and there will be a replay. And I'm so glad. Oh yeah, I need to change to the gallery. I'm so glad that we all were able to meet regardless of the technical problems. And yes, Ollie, what would you like to share?
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Cool.
my chocolate bar.
Amazing. So Anastasia, thank you so much for your documentary. To see the angels crafting their wings and reclaiming their wings, as I decided also to reclaim my wing. And of course, my name is Oli now. I was really amazed because I've seen a lot of shares. I was particularly moved because I'm a language enthusiast to see many shares in different languages and different cultures. So I truly believe there is no, of course, the facts are there. Like there are 90 to 95% of the person abused are women. And at the same time, seeing in the documentary many shares from men is really salutary because abuse is not gender-based, abuse is not culture-based, abuse is not religion-based, it's not language-based. It could happen to anyone, from anyone, no matter of these traits. And I truly believe that it's also the light of hope when we know that we can reclaim our power, our autonomy, our control, and to see I am more than that. I am more than a bullied. I am more than a traumatized child. I am a soul in a vehicle, and to try to elevate each other's and to be there to each other's. And I would like also to acknowledge the amount of energy, of strength, of courage for you, Anna, and for others to share, because we see a documentary that is here like this evening, 1 hour and 20 minutes, but it takes probably 6 to 8 minutes, 6 to 8 hours, and even more to build a psychological safety to allow people to express. It was my case. I'm not going to the details about that, but it was my case. It took me 20, 30 years to be able to express what was shameful for me to express. So we need more light. We need more of that, of shares. And so you have definitely my heart and my support. And everyone, my door is open. I don't push doors. It's up to you because I don't want to invade. But my door are open at any time. And feel free to continue to voice yourself. So hugs and love and chocolate. And thank you so much for all that you are doing. And I'm happy to bring the light and to use my time in my space for elevating each other's here. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Ollie is in France right now.
I believe he's in Belgium right now, right, Ollie?
Michael? Hey, Michael is actually another participant of Exposé. Michael, how are you?
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Mm.
It's been a long time, eh, Anna?
Yes, what do you think? How was this documentary to see after, we done this documentary, I think almost 2
Hit
years
home
ago.
on a lot of aspects. And it's it was quite hard hitting, hearing a lot of stories and that, I can relate to. But it's something to deal with on a daily basis all the time, because being a male, from a male standpoint, it's a lot harder, because men still don't voice their opinions as much. I've talked to a lot of men, and I tell them all the time, you have to voice it. And because that stigma that we have is, well, we are protectors, we are strong people, and I tell them, you don't have to be. Men are victims as well. Like Ollie said, narcissism, there's no gender to it. There's nothing. It can go towards everybody. And it's unfortunate that this world is becoming worse and worse. People are throwing the word around like it's a piece of Play-Doh sort of thing. And it's traumatizing. I've dealt with a few since I've last spoken with you, Anna, and I'm telling you, it's been quite the battle. But I've learned watching a lot of your stories and watching a lot of documentaries in regards to this matter. And I try and help out as many men as I can, as well as women. And especially now, because I'm partially doing consulting through the law courts and helping both men and women going through custody dealing with narcissism, and giving them a better understanding on how to go about things. So it's been beneficial, and I can't thank everybody here. I can't thank you enough, Anna, for bringing this to light, because it's needed in today's age. So thank you.
And thank you for doing your part and just being here and doing the amazing work you're doing. And we all need that village. I always say, the village of people who experience some similar experiences. And this is part of my village. Anna, how are you? The hearts, I can see the hearts before I can hear your voice.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Anastasia. I wanted Michael couldn't have said it better than Michael. So I'm Anna Peters. I'm also a survivor and a thriver who's healing and has helped thousands of people. And I wanted to really reiterate how important this is, because thank you, Anastasia and Crystal, because when we heal people and people come to us, we have a tool now we can use and say, yes, you're not the only one, and I would really love you to watch this, because through watching this and having the recording that will be the legacy to stay on forever for the Barbara Lee Foundation and for what you've done, Anastasia, is so important. We can use it. It's not just us and our expertise now, but also the expertise of everybody who's here who has personally gone through it. And what better healer can you be when you personally go through it? You become the greatest healer. Those who have gone through the greatest adversities can become the greatest teachers. And what you have put together here is brilliant. And we are so grateful. And, this is a community. We all stick together. Together we can help create so much more awareness and help thousands more, millions more people. And this is just the beginning. So your efforts will stay forever with us. And what you have recorded is incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Anna. There is one person here in this room who I missed. Christina, are you available to talk now, or I can go to Daria or Hannah if there is any last words, or just, it doesn't have to be anything smart. Just how was it for you to watch this? We have Marisa. Also, if you have some technical issues, I can unmute you. So I'm not sure if that's the case. All right, otherwise I'm unmuting you, Marisa. now, well,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. Watching the documentary, it really brought back a lot of memories because for me, it's been 17 years since I've been away from my abuser. And, a lot of the things that a lot of the people had said, it kind of like brought back memories like, oh yeah, that's what happened to me too. But, when you're away from the relationship for so long, you kind of put it on the back burner and you forget. And then when it came to me writing my story, it was kind of like, did I really go through abuse? Was it really abuse? And it was kind of like I was in denial about being a domestic violence, being in that relationship. I was in denial. And it was kind of like him in the back of my head telling me that, you weren't abused. You didn't go through that. It wasn't real, the things that I had gone through. So a lot of that trauma had kind of played through, but I really had to tell myself, it was abuse and it's really what it looked like. So, going through the documentary and hearing a lot of these people talk about what had really going into detail, it was like, wow, it was all the same story. And it is traumatizing, but it's also powerful because, like I've always said, we're making a difference together. And to take part in the documentary, it was a purpose. And I really was very proud of you when you said that you were bringing this out, and it was because we wanted to make a difference, and we didn't want our own family and our own friends and people that we knew going through it. And we couldn't be silent anymore. And so I'm just really thankful that you kept pushing through, you kept asking, you kept finding the right people. And I really have to say thank you to everybody that opened up about their story. And I know it had to be hard in the beginning to really ask yourself, is this really what I want to say? Is this really what I want to do? And a lot of times people want to be silent about it, but it really touched my heart. And I really want to thank you, Anna, for just pushing through as many obstacles you had hit so much. And Crystal, thank you for pushing her and giving her that strength as well. And I never let go of Exposé. Anytime I went out, and I always talked about it with people that I met. So I'm just glad it's finally here, and we're going to continue to make that difference in other people's lives, and hopefully somebody hears our story, and we can help somebody that hears our story. So thank you all.
And thank you for all your support. I remember it was pretty much me, you, and Hannah for the longest time keeping the group alive, doing the check-ins, making the posts. Hannah was dedicated with that very, very much. So it was amazing. I won't lie, I kind of giggled when I saw my hair because it was over 3 years ago, and I knew I had the Harley Quinn hair, but I didn't realize how short it was, and how much younger I look. Oh my goodness. It kind of made me giggle. I had Harley Quinn hair and a purple butterfly t-shirt on, and was so comfortable and so relaxed at the ease that Anna hosted the interview. It was like we were long lost cousins, especially because we connected over the fact that I grew up in a Polish household, and my confirmation name is actually Anastasia. So that was one way that we connected, and she just made me feel at ease. And watching that, like, so many emotions, but all of them had just pride and in love for you, Anna, because you endured so much in the last 4 years, well, through your life, but in the last 4 years. And when those people last year tried to undermine your heart and your soul and how resilient you were, you edited that beautiful 90-minute feature film together, and it flowed wonderful. You did that by yourself. You handpicked through 88 45-minute interviews and put them in pieces seamlessly. That's a lot of love and dedication, honey. And you could feel it. You could feel the hope and just the passion in the make. I can't wait to watch the other 15 episodes and keep buzzing in your ear to do a season 2. You know, keep going, keep spreading the awareness, keep giving that voice, keep inspiring others to help heal, because you inspired a hell of a lot in me. So much so that, and actually, yes, I do have it next to me. I actually dedicated my chapter in the Moving Beyond Boxes anthology book.
It's not disappearing. You have to put it on your chest.
I'm trying to open up to my chapter real quick. You know, just so I could read the actual dedication, but
I
it
also want
just
to acknowledge, thank you, Krista. I also want to acknowledge all of you staying over, because there's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. different places. So like I think in Ireland, probably there is like 1 a.m. Thank you.
okay.
Oh, okay. You're showing the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's midnight. Okay.
You know, I can take the thing off. Yeah. But it's the book, Moving Beyond Boundaries. My chapter was how helping others helped heal my soul. And my dedication was to you, who gave me my first choice of breaking in the box I was in, specifically Anastasia. You helped give me a voice. You inspired me to write, to share, to give hope to others the way that you do to me. So
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for sharing, and your, it's amazing to see yourself on the documentary 2 years back, because the inside, the outside, everything changes. But before we go into party, I have been waiting for this a lot, as we can see. I still have one question, okay? Because as a video editor, a filmmaker, I want to know what was missing. So if anybody's open to share shortly, what would you like to hear or see more? If there is anything coming up, then Hannah, yay! Here's the sparkle.
Hello. So, I mean, after just quickly after the documentary, I actually, and this kind of ties into your question, I started to work with women across Canada. There was over 100 women that were in a group together, and we worked together to try to implement changes in the family court system, because judges are not educated on what coercive control looks like specifically. They understand physical abuse, but they don't understand the intricacies and like the nuances of coercive control and what that looks like. So I worked with many women across Canada, and we ended up implementing a law here, which was amazing. But I think personally, I think that the one thing that was missing was potentially that is like, you know, just the lack of support. And I know that this is not just in Canada. I know this is in the US. I mean, there's many different like custody piece. I'm sure a lot of you follow a lot of the same, you know, Instagram pages that share some of this, you know, the issue with parental alienation being used as a trump card in court to try to take custody away from you, and you know, the system placing children in the arms of their abusers because of that claim or defense. So there's some really, to me, I feel like that could have been something that could be talked about as well, or even if it's like an episode on the lack of support essentially from the system when you report what happens and just how bad it is, you know. And I think personally, I think that the work that has to be done for people that are victims of domestic violence is mainly with our system, because we're failed every single day. And the reason we don't report is because when we report, we get punished. And so, yeah, that's my suggestion.
I second that wholeheartedly. I lost my girls because I stood up and they took I was railroaded by the system, false drug tests, the whole lot. So yeah, 100% with you on that one, Hannah. The system needs to change.
And thank you, Hannah, for all the work you have been doing. I honestly had no idea. So I celebrate your badass and just you coming out and speaking, which is not easy. Speaking live, come on. Not everyone has so much experience, but that's, you know, what you shared. It's something what I totally could include more. And there are 15 more episodes. In one of them, I talk a little bit about that. But I'm curious about what Mrs. Grace would like to add. You are muted, beautiful.
I would love to watch an episode on something that actually is related to what Hannah's brought up. She talked about systemic support, but personal support and enablers. The enablers are the opposite of personal support. Something along the lines of, like, this will be an interesting thing if you ever could, and I would be able to nominate a bunch of people, but it would be, what led you to enable the abuse of somebody else? I actually did that to somebody else not knowing, and one of it is, or one reason is because I didn't have the education. So I wasn't willfully doing it, I just didn't understand. So I was giving the stock responses that I'd heard around me, but that was actually in effect not giving that person support. I'm not the type of enabler that is actively trying to destabilize somebody else. So it'd be really interesting to be able to see information behind that, and if there is any research. If there isn't, do we need to have some? And part of it, I wonder, do I need to go back to school, get a master's in nursing to be able to access the ability to put out some research, do some research and put it out there and share it? You've got that judicial system, and Hannah, I'm so glad to actually meet someone and be connected to someone who does that. And there's a whole area in the healthcare system as well. And I know the healthcare system tends to sometimes link up with the judicial system and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of power in attacking the 2 points at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, knowing you and your situation actually made me realize some things I have missed. Like, you don't know what could be missing until you hear somebody else's story and their view. So this, what you are sharing, is so, you know, it is priceless. It really is. And I also will be sending another email asking for your feedback. So if something comes up later, you can just let me know. I see one more hand from Sharon. I will ask to unmute you.
Hi, Alan. Thank you for letting me unmute. I just wanted to say two things. I resonate very much with what Hannah said. I thank God did not lose custody of my son. However, it was an uphill battle. My ex-husband tried to say that I was alienating my son from him, and I wasn't. My son didn't want to go. I couldn't force him out the door. And we were back and forth in court. I can't even tell you how many times. And the other frustrating piece for me in this whole process was that more people believed my ex-husband than, the facade that he was putting on than believed me, and it was really hard for me because, I took my son to the pediatrician, and my son had major school avoidance. And my ex tried to say that I was being educationally neglectful. My son didn't want to go to school because he was having no support. He was getting, in a sense, bullied by the staff there when he tried to express himself. Everybody's like, oh, your father means well, and this and the other thing. And he was expressing himself to the best way that he could as a young child. I took him to the pediatrician for the school avoidance because I didn't know if he was sick or not at first, right? And people would say, why are you so sick? And I'd say, do you not see a pattern here? He's sick on every Tuesday and Thursday. What's so special about Tuesday and Thursday? He would ask. And I would say, oh, that's his father's visitation. And the pediatrician would literally say to him, do you not want to go to your father? And my son wouldn't answer, but his body language would say so much. He wouldn't look the pediatrician in the eye. And pediatricians are supposed to be mandated reporters, but it was like all the signs, all the red flags were being ignored. And it was really frustrating because I had to willingly let my son go to his abuser. And that killed me until my son got old enough. And I'm saying 10, 11, he started resisting going. And it was a knockdown, drag out battle. My ex would come bang on the door and all this stuff. So I would like to, I don't know how necessarily you start telling those stories, Anna, but I know that I'd be willing to tell my story. I was lucky enough to have a really good attorney, who, and I documented everything because he was trying to say that I was withholding and all of this stuff. And the other thing I wanted to say is I also resonate, forgive me, I forgot, I think it was Grace, who was saying there wasn't a lot of community support either on the personal end. I got so judged by my friends and family for not being strict disciplinarian and all these things because nobody knew what was going on behind closed doors. And when I tried to express it, I was being emotionally manipulated. My ex was saying he was going to get people to believe him and I would never see my son again if I opened my mouth, that two of them would disappear. And I had to hold all of this in until I had to work with my son. And this is another thing, Anna, that I think is really important. I had to work with my son to finally be able to say to him, look, I cannot say anything because nobody believes me. You have to get the courage up to find somebody that you can trust, where you can say the truth. Because if you don't, you could wind up having to go live with him. And there's not going to be anything I can do to stop it. And that was hard. But I had to give my young son that reality check. It was, and it's just hard. And so I think there needs to be more exposure to the system situation. And I also think there needs to be more exposure to the lack of support personally, because I wasn't perfect, there were things I could change about my parenting, but we were both being abused. And I was doing everything I needed to do to keep my son safe. And I don't regret that for one single solitary second, but I just think that there needs to be more education around both situations. So that's what I wanted to add. And I thank you for letting me do that.
Thank you. It almost always feels like you're alone when you're going through it, and now just sharing it in a community, I hope it gave you this feeling that even though we physically couldn't be there with you, there is some kind of love you can receive to that part of you who tried so hard to handle it all by yourself and really didn't have those resources. Thank you all. And that's the closure. But thank you to my co-hosts, Grace and Crystal. Also, before we go to the party room, which really is the same room in your own house, you partying in front of the screen with camera on or off, you can put your favorite songs in the chat. I will be happy to find them and add to the Spotify list. You know, I'm supposed to say something at the end, but it feels like I don't have that need anymore because you all guys, you know, your presence, and it has all the parts I wanted to, you know, share in my speech. But I just maybe would like to invite you to the next premiere on August 5th. It will be the first episode out of the 15th. At the same time, the same hour, exactly like today, August 5th. Oh yeah, my accent. But it's Thursday. It's Thursday in the next 2 weeks. We'll try to keep that date every single Thursday to kind of create momentum and allow others to join and experience the healing power, not just of watching those episodes, but also being able to connect with you, the speakers, and those who have supported energetically and prayed. Like Anna has been with me in touch on Facebook for the last 2 days. She thought it was yesterday because of the time difference, and so she was preparing the ground. and I'm, you know, I think I'm very blessed to know you all, who you are. And you know, life comes in cycles. You have this period you're going through in the middle of fog, thinking you're alone, just like Sharon was mentioning. And then when you're out, you're looking back, you're doing healing, and the healing is the process. And yeah, and the good thing is when we are just like now together, it's more fun, right? Because at the end, it's really hard stuff to work it through alone. And it's not our stuff. I do believe it's ancestral stuff. And we are the ones, the people who are breaking it energetically and spiritually and physically, emotionally. And as I am landing, I see also Deborah wants to say, add something.
And Lorelai is like begging to say something as well. I don't think she knows how to raise her hand.
Okay. So
Mhm.
so let's I will unmute you. And I lost right now Deborah. But maybe this order, Deborah and then Laura. Ask to unmute. Oh, you are muted. You I'm sending you invitation. Now it works.
Okay, I'm on my iPhone, so I can't even see that I'm here, which is I've been fighting to be on and to be seen. And I haven't raised my hand. I'm just sitting in awe of this beautiful group of people that are such beautiful phoenixes. I have been on such a long healing journey, but truly it was only through Dr. Meg Howarth that I happened to be on a summit that she was on, that she was talking about narcissists, and I had a major aha. My father has been a narcissist 100% all my life. And I had so much other deep abuse from him that I could not even recognize that. And I thought, well, compared to everything else that I've been through, I think I can deal with this fairly quickly. But Meg was having her own summit about narcissism, and although I've known of people sort of distantly and tried to help them and work with them, not a close friend, but anyway, I'm too much verbiage, but I thought I have to sign up for Meg's summit to even heal things that I don't even know about this. And yeah, it's been a lot deeper than I thought. And it just is, all the other stuff was hidden. It was sexual abuse, and even worse, it was worse than that. And you feel like such a safe group, and I'm not trying to bomb anything here, but it's satanic ritual abuse, and it's a whole nother game. It's a whole nother game. And I thought, well, if I can go through that, and that was by my dad as well, then I thought, you know, I'll be able to do this narcissist thing. But the thing with even the other two things is it's been so hard to find a group. It's been so hard to find support. And times when I do some EMDR in my past, I kept hearing this, I'm a phoenix rising from the ashes. And I thought, yay, great. And I always felt this fire thing that I didn't even, I felt such community with each one of you here today. I can't even thank you enough. I feel like I'm probably a blubbery mess, and I'll watch the replay and hate myself for bowling like this. But anyway, I guess that's all part of the package.
You're beautiful.
Of learning to heal. But I just love each one of you. I'm so proud of each one of you and the journey that you've been on and become a hero in, and more than a survivor of Phoenix. And I love your group, and I'd love to stay connected and learn so much more. Thank you. And I kept hearing it was Agnès Salas, and then I think I sort of figured out, oh, Anna, this is you, and I'm loving all your hearts that you're sending to me. You're being so encouraging. All of you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry it took me so long to get brave enough, but part of it was I just, like I say, I can't even see myself. I couldn't get on enough, and I debated about raising my hand, and I didn't know that I had until Anastasia, you said that my hand was raised. Love, so much love to all of you. So much love. I can't even express it well enough, but thank you deeply.
Thank you. And I love, you know, the tender place you spoke from, and it's so beautiful. And so I celebrate you for having the courage and speaking and sharing.
Thank you, Anastasia. Just a beautiful thing that you're doing, that all of you are doing. And Crystal, you're big in this too. Yeah, all of you, and Anna. All of you.
We all
of you play such a huge part. Thank you.
And now we
so
have
much love.
Thank you. Let's stay connected. I would love to invite you to our Facebook group so you can, you know, have this support. Stay in a community, because it sounds like we are going through some process of healing. And I'm glad you are connected with Dr. Meg. That's really, you know,
that's just hot off the press. Yeah. Thank you.
We have two very last shares, and I ask you to keep it under 1 minute, each of you, so we can start the party, because I cannot wait for so long. No, I'm joking, but not really. Ollie.
Okay, so three things, and it will be really quick. Deborah, you are a phoenix. You are amazing and beautiful. Thank you so much for your braveness to share. Two things. The second thing is that yesterday I was amazed by an exercise that Jenlyn offered, and it was to quote someone's name and to quote the quality of the person or the thoughts that we think about this person. So I will say quickly, Crystal, you are an amazing angel. You are always giving space for others to be able to express, and you are beautiful as you are, as a phoenix and as a cat. And the third thing, when you are sharing music, feel free also to unplug YouTube, because YouTube is blocking the videos when there is music. I was realizing that when I was making my own streams. YouTube blocked my video because I was sharing music. So it's up to you, but unplug YouTube so that people will be able to watch the replay on YouTube. Thank you.
I'm using Spotify, actually. Spotify. Yeah. Okay. Sharon? Thank you, Ollie.
Sorry, it wasn't letting me unmute. Really, really fast. I just want to say, Deborah, we all love you. I love you. Glad you're going to be coming into the Facebook group. You'll have a lot of support from everybody here. And also, I just wanted to say, I want to thank you again for having this space, Anna and Crystal and everybody. I want you all to know really quickly that my son and I are okay. We've been okay for quite a while now. He's 20. He's still dealing with recovering himself and dealing with the effects of the abuse and finding himself. But I fought the fight. I was just wanting to make sure that people know if you're feeling alone, you're not alone. But it can feel like a very lonely fight, and that's something that we have to change collectively. I believe that we can something that we can have an impact on and change, and that's really what I wanted to add. So thank you for letting me add it, Anna. And I just look forward to staying part of this group and bringing this message forward like big time. So
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon! It's awesome to see you blossoming, and we connected through Crystal, and I see, how your power is unfolding, and I'm so applauding you. All right, I just want to also thank one more time to my technical support in the person of Sheldon. Sheldon, thank you so much for being and deciding to help us with some technical support. Thank you for the last 3 days. We had rehearsals with Crystal and Grace preparing this space. So thank you all. And if anyone wants to share, no more sharing. Okay, now
Can I say one short little thing? I want to thank you all for being here. I know we're all after thanking each other for being here, but it's really means a lot to me to know that there's other men as well, not only women, but men as well, who will go through similar situations, and more men need to speak up. And I want to thank everybody for just the whole process of healing, because we could all keep it all bottled inside of us, which is not being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is actually a strength, and allowing ourselves to be that way is what really leads to healing. Not only healing for ourselves, but healing to help other people. And the more people we can help, the more likely it is that this kind of event won't have to take place, because it will bring an end to the cycle of terrible, terrible events. So thank you.